What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
14 LF. Chapter 221. New kid. Still so arrogant. Snapped. Snapped. Crackling. Boom. Compared with the others, Carmenio and Bullet are very pure, and they are still fighting. For the two of them, fighting each other with high intensity is the most suitable. Anyway, they can't die. Whether it is a broken limb or a broken arm, or a heart, no matter what kind of skill, these two guys are showing no mercy. The reason is simple. For these two guys, they don't care about everything else, they just want to be strong. That's the character of the duo. It's always been that way. Woo. Breathing out a deep breath of turbid air, the expressions of the two of them are very calm, they are separated, and their battle today is almost the same. Bullet, you're getting stronger again. Carmenio squinted his eyes and looked at Bullet. He really didn't expect that Bullet would become stronger again. It's not a joke. It's actually become stronger, there is absolutely no doubt about it. Ha ha ha. Bullet grinned and said confidently. Isn't this a matter of course? Of course, it has become stronger again. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Strength is in front of us, and this is the most important thing. 99. He. Carmenio smiled and said, you bastard. Every time is so hard. Let's go. After the two had a dinner, they continued to enter the gravity training room to continue their training. The two did not waste a single bit of time. After dinner, they continued. These two people, but the entire Whitebeard Pirates are famous. Madman. The Whitebeard Pirates have two famous desperate Saburos, or should be called lunatics. Carmenio. Bullet. These two guys are really fighting, 947, to kill Saburo. These two guys are like desperate for life. They don't care about everything. The two of them are training the intensity, seriously. Don't say try it, even just watching, all you feel is endless fear. It was too terrifying, and these two people simply made people feel terrified. 3. Of course, because of the terrifying hell-style training of these two guys, many people have followed these two people to get terrifying upgrades again and again. This is really too terrifying. These two guys are still training themselves crazily myself, so to speak. These are two real lunatics. No matter at any time, these two lunatics never let up, and because of this, everyone in the entire Whitebeard Pirates is full of serious respect for the two. This is not a joke, but from respect from the heart, from the soul. Gamenio. Bullet. Almost. 55. F*K. 35. Come on. The person who came to call the two people to go back to rest, but couldn't help but suddenly widened their eyes. Looking at the two people who were bleeding in the gravity training room, they let out a frantic roar. Darling. Isn't this like a joke? It's like nonsense. What the hell did these two guys do? These two bastards. Are these two guys crazy? F*K. 35. This is 30 times higher gravity. These two bastards, are they just desperate? Really? 35. When the gravity training room was closed one by one and the two people were lifted out, the two people basically had a lot of air in and out, and they basically looked like they were not far from death, although it was said to be late at night, but I still found the uncle here. What is the solution? This is no longer something that doctors can treat. It really needs the magical power of the uncle's horse charm. Worth to talk about. The Whitebeard Pirates obviously have the power of Alan's horse charm, why do they still have a ship doctor? Actually, it's very simple. In fact, many injuries, only need the ship doctor's treatment. After all, the Whitebeard Pirates have a total of 7,000 people, and with such a large number, if you are joking, Alan treats everyone every day, then do you need to deal with other things? Obviously. This is impossible things, at least. It's impossible for Alan to sit here every day to deal with these things, it's unrealistic. After all, this number of people is so large, naturally. This is the need for normal treatment by the ship doctor. Accompanied by the murmur, the two of them woke up in a daze, and looked around in a daze, as if they were also full of confusion, not knowing what happened just now. Carmenio stood up in a daze, and said doubtfully, Uncle. Why are you here? Why am I here? Looking at the confused brat, Alan couldn't help shaking his head and said, you brat, you almost died here, how dare you talk about this? What do you two brats think? 30 times the gravity, is that what you two little devils can handle? This. When Carmenio heard the uncle's laughter and scolding, he gradually recovered. He couldn't help rubbing his eyebrows and said embarrassedly, Uncle. We both forgot about this a little bit, it seems that I was a little distracted. At that time. Okay. Alan waved his hand and said, be careful in the future. It's certainly a good thing that you two want to work hard to become stronger, but there are still many places that need to be paid attention to, otherwise it is really easy to have problems. Uncle, we know. Both Carmenio and Bullet nodded their heads honestly. These two little devils also knew that their uncle was for their own good. Otherwise, this time, if it happened next time, if no one was caught if you find it, it will be really troublesome. Of course, in the Whitebeard Pirates, there are guys who are watching these two lunatics. What the two of them did is too terrifying, and the hell-like training they both endured is really unacceptable for ordinary people. Because of this, in order to prevent these two guys from having an accident, many times there are special people staring at these two guys to prevent an accident from happening. Woo. Taking a deep breath, Alan waved his hand and said, okay. Since there is nothing more to do, I have to go back to rest, really. Make trouble for me. 39. Sighing lazily, Alan turned around and left calmly. To these two brats. Of course I wouldn't say anything, after all. These two brats who are trying to become stronger, if I say more what, is it too much? Alan is very serious and tolerant towards people who work hard, just how to say it. These two little devils are really trying to kill a little bit, this is not a good thing, but honestly better. If the next time is still to die, then there will be a real problem. What? Alan had left, and it was not the first time the others had encountered such a situation, and they had all left to rest. That's right. That's right. It's not the first time that the two guys, Carmenio and Bullet, have been like this. It is even said that it is almost a habit for everyone. You can see from here, how many these two guys are. This is the time. Ha ha ha. Carmenio and Bullet looked at each other, and both couldn't help laughing, shaking their heads helplessly. Okay. It's okay. Go back and rest, I won't be able to be so confident next time, really there will be problems. Yes, yes, our strength is still far behind. The two of them nodded earnestly at this point, it is true. Although the strength of the two of them is not bad, but again, their age is still not enough, they still need time to grow up, and at this time they are challenge training like this. For the two of them, it was death. If Alan hadn't had a horse spell, it was just such a challenge, even if it could be cured and survived, but the two's bodies have already left unchangeable dark wounds. If this is really the case, then the two of them are basically not far from death. Even if you don't die. But, leaving such a dark wound, in fact, has already been abandoned, and has been regarded as a waste in this lifetime. But then again, the two of them acted as desperate Cerberos, and the reason they were really desperate Cerberos wasn't because their uncles had such abilities. After all, no one is an idiot. Although the two of them said that they looked the same as the desperate Cerbero, it was because the two knew that there would be no problem, otherwise it would be impossible to do such an idiot-like behavior, of course. Among them, it must be there is a causal relationship, and this is something that does not need to be doubted. Woo. He let out a deep puff of smoke, and Alan looked at the two little devils who were leaving together, and shook his head. Second, the talents of these two little devils are really outstanding, plus this crazy training. No, if there is an accident, it won't take long for the two of them to improve their strength. Comparing with Marine Admiral is not a problem at all. 35. Listening to Alan's words, Newgate nodded in agreement. Indeed. But, will these two little devils train so hard, will there be any problems? Newgate is still a little worried. After all, as a father, watching his own children hone so frantically and hard, this is not a joke, although it is said that the body has a real reply to the horse charm, but their spiritual side. This is not surprising. Newgate is also a father. As a father, it is very normal to be worried when looking at your children like this. This is really not a strange problem. Cut. Listening to Newgate's words, Alan's mouth twitched and said, "Second, stay awake. Is there something wrong with your head? You think about it a little and know that this is impossible. Really, is there something wrong with your brain? These two little devils will not have any problems with their bodies, and their hard training is not forced by Laozi, to be honest. As far as the amount of training Laozi stipulates, it is almost impossible for any problems to occur. These two little devils have such talent. So, take it easy and you won't have any problems at all, really." Hee. Newgate also smiled awkwardly, and he was also a little embarrassed. "Brother, don't I care a little bit?" Well, Alan waved his hand and said, "It's normal, after all. As a dad, it's not strange that you care about these little devils, just calm down a little bit. You guys, are you getting older and getting older? Is your brain not normal?" Listening to the scolding of his eldest brother, Newgate scratched his head and said, "Brother. Not so, mainly." In the end, thousands of words converged into a sigh, in fact. Just like what my eldest brother said, Newgate is actually quite old. To put it bluntly, it means getting old. And because of this, Newgate is what it is now. This is undeniable. Newgate is growing up, and age is also changing. It is not surprising, although it is said that it has not lost the sharpness of youth, but it is more emotional. This is also a very normal thing. This is not any weird question. Still, after all, it is getting old. In fact, Alan is very clear about this point. It is not a strange problem for people to have such a thing. After all, with the passage of time, people grow and change, which is not no surprise, or rather, there are no problems whatsoever. That's why, it's all in front of you, and naturally it's different. I see. Big brother. 99. 99. Okay, let's go. Go back and rest, stinky boy, your idea is not wrong, but you still have to understand that your life is different from normal people, the same. Each of us is a so, in that case, you have to look at everything else differently. Listening to the words of his elder brother, Newgate nodded seriously, indeed. When you really reach this level, you need to really seriously consider many things, not to say. You stand there is nothing wrong with it. Day 2. Wow, wow. As the waves churned, one after another pirate ships seemed to be swept in. This is a pirate fleet that is not huge, but definitely quite a lot. It has a full 10 pirate ships. Aspects. Obviously, the strength of this pirate is already very good. After all, these are 10 pirate ships, and on this sea, they are already quite strong. Oh hoo, it's really a huge pirate ship. 99. 5.9 inches awe. There are 10 pirate ships. Standing on the bow, and Newgate and Kaido are interesting to watch all this below, above the whalehead of the Moby Dick, these are more and more interesting. Even said, it makes people feel extremely interesting, and the looks and postures of the two are very interesting. However, goo la la la, Newgate laughed proudly. No matter what time it is, this sea is like this. That's right, no matter what time it is, this sea will always be like this, no matter what time it is, there will always be new people on this sea. They will never disappear, and these crazy little devils, in any they will appear from time to time, they will appear on this sea, they will appear again and again, and because of this, they are the most powerful, right? This era, or, no matter what era, any time, on this sea, there will be countless newcomers, and these newcomers will bring completely different changes to the sea, this is a matter of course. Wu, holding a cigar, taking a puff of smoke, and exhaling it, Newgate said interestingly, no matter at any time, the new kid. Still so arrogant, but it is definitely the most interesting thing. That's right. Goo la la la. Worororo. The two brothers are accompanied by this crazy and arrogant laughter, it can be said. The strength of the two is absolutely real, there is no doubt that they are the tyrants of this sea. And since you want to challenge, then bring it on. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. 5th update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 222. The 4-player alliance is here. Cooperation. Halala. Wow. The waves are tumbling, and along with the tumultuous sea, these 10 pirate ships have come straight to the Moby Dick. The pirates on the pirate ship are full of endless madness. In their eyes, there is only madness. Flame. Ha ha ha. Brothers, look, what did this find? Moby Dick. Whitebeard Pirates. 5. Bros. Prepare for battle. Kill the Whitebeard Pirates, the world's number 1 pirates is our place. Roar. The captain responded with a deafening roar. There was only endless madness in the eyes of these pirates. They were like terrifying evil spirits, their eyes were full of endless madness. Just kidding. It won't stop here, they will only kill. Kill, kill, crazy killing, killing all the opponents, this is what they want to do the most. Challenge. Crazy. This is the newcomer above the sea, for these newcomers, they are full of endless madness, and they don't care if they die next. Does that matter? Do not. In the eyes of these lunatics, these have no meaning at all, death. It is nothing at all. At least, for them lunatics, they don't care about death at all, from the moment they enter the new world, they are a group of terrifying lunatics, and such terrifying lunatics, do not need to hesitate at all. Now, in front of them is the world's number 1 pirate group. That is the Whitebeard Pirates, an invincible pirate group known as the world's number 1 pirate group, and facing such a pirate group, if it can be if the opponent is torn apart, does that prove his strength? Just thinking about it is too exciting. Oh hoo. Brothers, kill me, kill. With this deafening roar, these pirates launched an attack, successful or not, or will they succeed? Actually, they just don't care about things. For them, they don't care what will happen next. What 06? Them. They are the madmen of this world, they are the mad people who entered this new world, and because of this, they don't care if they die, and they don't care what will happen next, all this is for them, it's all meaningless things. That's the most important thing, and that's all. Just enough. Kill, kill. 55. There is only a roar, they want to try, they want to work hard, even if the final result is just failure. But, for them, they don't care at all, failure is failure. It doesn't matter at all, they don't care about the so-called failure, they just want to continue to go on a battle to set the world. That's enough. Humph. A cruel smile emerged, and only a crazy look appeared in their eyes. Boom, boom. The roar of artillery fire resounded, and the war began in an instant, and all this was just the beginning. He. With a faint smile, the two figures rose into the sky at the same time. It was Marco and Abel. The two showed extremely fast speed and went straight to the opponent. Under the circumstance of amazing speed, the owner terrifying power. The two directly entered the crowd, unfolding their terrifying strength. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The blood was dripping slowly, and at this moment, the entire battlefield seemed to have become silent, and everyone's expressions became different, and the 10 pirate ships had been completely destroyed at this moment. The captain, reluctantly knelt down on one knee. Ha, ha. He was gasping for breath, and his face had become abnormally pale, and the blood covered his eyes. For him, it could be said that he had reached the limit. Wow. A mouthful of blood spurted out, and he was so weak that he almost fell to the ground. He raised his head with difficulty and looked at the two floating in the air. The expressions on his face could be said to be very ugly. This is not a joke. Very ugly. Marco, Abel, it was just two people, and the others didn't even make a move, but in the case of just two people, the battle ended just like that. The two sides were not opponents of the same level at all, it was the same from beginning to end. Facing their attack, everything he had prepared came to an end like this. He was not a level opponent at all, and it could be said that there was no comparison. He chuckled in a hoarse voice and said weakly, "It's really pitiful. It's really shameful. Now it seems that I'm just like a clown. I obviously feel that my strength is good, but the result. In the real strong in front of the audience, it turns out that I am a clown jumping on the beam." With a look of emotion, he raised his head and looked at the two men in front of him, but he struggled to stand up. Even though his body was riddled with holes, he still stood up straight. Abel looked calm and didn't say a word, and didn't mean to speak at all, while Marco said interestingly, "Do you want to say something?" If you lose, you lose. It doesn't matter. The moment I stepped into this sea, it was nothing more than a matter of fact. For me, I have seen your strength, and even if it fails like this, I am willing to bear it. Listening to this man's words, Marco and Abel both had to admit that although this man said that he failed like this, but this man is not a weak man, he has his own firm heart. Even if he loses like this, I am willing to bear everything for myself. He is a powerful man, but unfortunately, he chose to challenge the Whitebeard Pirates at this time, so he said. Death is his only result, no matter what. Death is beyond doubt. This is something that will never change, at least, for this man, it will never change. Brush. This man has already fallen to the ground and lost his life forever. If he is given time, if he is willing to continue to cultivate and wait for the challenge in the future, he is qualified to be a strong man, but just like it's what he said, he wouldn't do it. If he did, then he wouldn't be him, he wouldn't be standing here, and he wouldn't be qualified to stand here. Woo. He let out a sigh, and Marco said with a smile, admiring, Abel, he is really a very good person. However, it is a pity that since he is a challenger, then he must do it for his own sake. Pay for failure. Indeed, Abel also agreed. In terms of strength, aptitude, and personality, this guy is very good. However, as you said, Marco, since you have made a choice, then you pay the price for your choices. Since you have done so, there is absolutely no doubt about it. You need to pay for all your choices. Good. Alan nodded to this too, that's it. It's true for anyone, choice. Price. Since you chose to challenge the Whitebeard Pirates, you must pay the price to challenge the Whitebeard Pirates. There is no doubt about it. No matter what, you have to admit it, and after Marco and Abel dealt with this challenger, they turned around and returned, after all. Isn't this also a waste of time? It makes no sense whatsoever. Actually, this kind of thing happens all the time on this ocean, whether willing or unwilling, and on this ocean, there are many people with sufficient qualifications, but many of them are unable to grow up. On this sea, there are many geniuses, but can they grow up? This is hard to say. And if they cannot grow up, they are not qualified to be called geniuses. This is the fundamental reason. It must be acknowledged at any time. Again, Maxima often has it, but Bowl does not often have it. If there is no Bowl, then genius is completely meaningless, and what is the result of genius? In fact, there is no doubt. Above this sea, to put it bluntly, the geniuses who die every year are very huge, and the reason is very simple. This sea is really too huge, and in such a huge environment, naturally there will be many strong whether they are willing to admit or unwilling to admit, this is an inevitable thing. This is the only result. Marco, Abel, the number of geniuses defeated in this way is very large, maybe. Give them strength, they will grow up very well, or at least as a Marine Vice Admiral, it should not be a problem. Unfortunately, this is meaningless, because, for them, they will die here, and these teenagers are such lunatics. And above the sea, precisely because there are too many such lunatics, has been so much that people are filled with endless shock. And it is a simple microcosm of New World. Everything like this happens every day in New World. War, challenge, destruction, failure, everything is like this. 99 feet. Squinting slightly and thinking about it, Beasta said, it seems that in terms of overall strength, it seems to be okay. However, this guy is too crazy to challenge us, it is really not fatal. 99. Well, Sachi said calmly. There are too many people like Beasta in this world, and it's not a strange thing. For them, it is very normal to challenge anyone, after all, these guys are all such a character. Indeed. Beasta nodded, agreeing with this. On this sea, there are many such people. They have launched challenges again and again, they have launched wars again and again, and they are not like this all the time, just. They are part of this sea, and if they win, they will become stronger and continue to challenge. And if they lose, that means that they are the end of it. They are willing to suffer such a result. It's nothing but death, it doesn't matter at all. For them, death is really nothing, so what if death comes to them? Actually, it's just an indifferent thing, it doesn't matter at all, even death is meaningless. They are fearless. This is a group of terrifying lunatics, and no matter in any era, such lunatics exist, even in those days. Alan, Newgate, and Kaido were the same terrifying lunatics back then. Challenges made them stronger and more terrifying. Even after joining Rock's pirate, the difference was in essence. It's not particularly big. This is the essence of this world, whether you are willing to admit it or not, this is something that must be admitted. Never mind, Brahmank said casually. It's better not to discuss casually, it's a boring thing anyway. Go, Sage, hurry up to prepare dinner, you guy. Every day it's time to cook. You will be lazy. You will leave everything to other people in the food court. 55. What? Sachi let out a painful wailing sound and said, you guys, but it really is. Don't do this. Such a thing has nothing to do with me. 950. Sachi is really helpless. It's not for other reasons. Sachi is very talented, at least he is really good at cooking, even to say. Everyone got it from Jep through trade. As a chef, the captain of the pirate group cooks, and as a result, Sachi's cooking level is getting higher and higher. In such a situation, what will the result be? In fact, it is self-evident. Everyone likes Sachi's cooking very much, and the result, if Sachi prepares it, it is really all people or all around. Over time, Sachi will only take action at key banquets. Usually, he will not take action. In addition to giving other people a chance, please. Thousands of people. But, if they are all prepared by themselves, then isn't it dead? That's what Sage had in mind, just. This time, caught by Beasta and Brahmank, Sage was forced to start only dinner preparations. Ha ha ha. Enjoyed. That's right. It has to be Sachi in terms of cooking. It's really delicious. Everyone was laughing happily, and Sachi looked at this scene. Although he was very tired, he also showed a smile. For a chef, although they were tired, they looked at themselves. The food can make people happy, which is the greatest joy for them. Really. Shaking his head with emotion, Sachi did not continue to say anything, but just quietly looked at everything in front of him. His eyes were filled with endless calm, and a smile really emerged. Woo. Satisfied with food and drink, Alan also let out a sigh of smoke and said, it's really good. Sachi's cooking is getting better and better. If nothing else, Sachi will break the limit of cooking. 99. Newgate also laughed and said, brother. Isn't this a matter of course? Sachi's talent is here after all. That's true. Kaido also nodded in agreement. In terms of cooking, Sachi is definitely good enough. Even, exceptionally good. There is no doubt about it. Woo. Breathing out a puff of smoke, Alan continued, speaking of which. Second, third, do you know where the other guys are? I'm quite interested in those guys. The corners of his mouth grinned grimly. Alan was full of madness, joking. Now that he has gone to sea again this time, he has not played against these guys for 2 years, and I don't know how these guys' strength has improved. To what extent? Uncle. 35. Dad. 3 uncles. The Golden Lion and their alliance sent an invitation, saying they wanted to invite us to cooperate. 35. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. 6th update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 223. The common problem of human beings is short-lived species. 39. Alan was stunned for a moment, then said in astonishment, cooperation. What the hell? These guys came to cooperate with Laozi, and their heads were kicked by Sea Kings. First of all, Sea Kings don't have feet, so it's impossible to kick people, so it means that these guys have a problem with their heads. How many? This. Newgate and Kaido, you look at me, I look at you, plus I look at the big brother, the 3 brothers are all very dazed. What is the situation? Is it a little weird? Don't look at me. 99. Alan shrugged and said, I don't know what's going on in this matter. The ghost knows if these 4 guys have brain problems, but it's just that, I'm also a little interested. What is this cooperation like? No problem. Little Rabbit, you inform these guys that I agree to cooperate, but you need them to enter the Moby Dick to cooperate. If you dare, then you can consider it. Okay, father. 35. Gion nodded, and then went to deal with this matter. Worororo. Kaido smiled strangely. Big brother, are you planning to kill the opponent directly? Alan rolled his eyes and said, Third, don't make trouble, I can't afford to lose this person, damn it. If I attack like this, I'm really ashamed and lost, I can't afford to lose this person, but they are not. Do you want to cooperate? Of course you can. I want to see what these guys are going to do. Humph. A funny smile appeared, but Alan thought it was very interesting. If these guys really dare to set foot on the Moby Dick, then they can talk a little bit. After all, they have already boarded the Moby Dick. No, isn't it? Obviously. The second child had already guessed the bad taste of his eldest brother, while the third one was stunned and understood what was going on. The 2 brothers shook their heads silently. To be blunt, my eldest brother was just bored, so he prepared have some fun, it turns out. It's nice to say this or that, isn't that boring? For the appearance of their eldest brother, the 2 brothers expressed their contempt. However, they didn't say it. Ah, 55. Sighing lazily, Alan pondered and said, second, third, okay, don't think about those who are missing, what do you two think? How do you deal with the next thing? Newgate thought about it and said, brother. To be honest, it's quite a strange thing. According to the characters of these guys, in normal times, each of them is very arrogant. Today, he took the initiative to seek cooperation with us. It is indeed true. It just feels weird. Yes. Kaido also nodded in agreement. Second brother is right, the alliance of the four of them is very stable. For so many years, they have been making waves in this world, and I heard that they went to attack the kingdom of Adam some time ago, but, once again, I touched a gray nose. When Kaido said this, he stopped suddenly, and the two brothers also raised the corners of their mouths and made their debut with a smile, it seems. That's it. Yes, if nothing else, it is because of this Adamic kingdom. 35. Indeed, the one that can annoy these four guys in the new world is probably the kingdom of Adam, right? 99. There was a smile on the corners of their mouths. The three of them found it very interesting. If it was really because of Adam Kingdom, then this matter was really interesting. What will happen next? Interesting things. Search. Alan licked the corner of his mouth and said interestingly, but if these four guys cooperate on this point, they can consider it. After all, I am also very unhappy with the broken place of Adam Kingdom. Adam Kingdom. These years. In fact, it is very dishonest. In other words, the kingdom of Adam is actually trying crazy, especially after the man Adam wakes up, everything seems to be different. This man begins to test, and many times, what happened to silence. He is testing, especially for the major forces, even the Whitebeard Pirates are testing, although it is said. Every time the people sent to test are killed, and this is beyond doubt thing. After squinting and thinking for a while, Alan said hesitantly, all in all, it is really necessary to think carefully about the broken place of Adam Kingdom. If possible, it would be really good to be able to kill this country. Indeed, the second child and the third child all agree with this statement, Adam Kingdom. This broken place is really not a good place, and it is definitely the most suitable thing to kill it directly. But, Big Brother. 99. After carefully thinking about many situations, Newgate said, if you take action against Adam Kingdom, I don't know what the strength of Adam Kingdom is. This country is too mysterious, and its internal power seems to be endless. Quote. Worororo. Kaido laughed boldly and said, second brother, you are too vigilant, right? Above this ocean, when have we been timid? If the other party is not pleasing to the eye, just rush up and it's over, don't have so many the hesitation, second brother, your spirit. 66.99. Listening to Kaido's heroic laughter, Newgate was stunned for a moment, and then rubbed his eyebrows, feeling that there was indeed a little difference, and he seemed to be. As he grew older, it seemed to gradually appeared, this emotion called fear. Once upon a time, the three Edward brothers are real lunatics. Maybe they know that today is a situation of certain death, they are all lunatics who will rush in, but at this moment, the three brothers seem to have fallen into a kind of silence. It really makes people feel at a loss, not knowing where the problem is, or what is going on. This is the most strange thing. And what is the reason for this situation? This is the weirdest thing ever. Quote. Newgate opened his mouth, he didn't know what he should say, indeed. He has undergone some changes, and this kind of change has made him unexpected. Ha ha ha. Looking at Newgate's appearance, Alan waved his hand casually and said, stinky boy. You idiot. I have already said it, you understand a little bit, with the old age and fear, you are still be a little bit more spiritual. However, it's just a matter of indifference, these things are already in front of you, and you don't need too much hesitation. 35. I know, bro, I know what happened to me. Newgate nodded as well, he looked at the elder brother and the third child, but fell into a quiet nod. He knew that the brothers were all for their own good, and he seemed to be caught in a kind of silence. Among the dazed state, this strange state is the most terrifying. Actually, this is a very normal thing. Humans are short-lived species, so to speak. Human thinking and patterns have been fixed, there is no doubt about it. After all, human beings are such creatures, if so, this is also very normal, and not surprising. But also, there is another fundamental reason. Newgate is no longer a short-lived species, but a real long-lived species, but the transformation from a short-lived species to a long-lived species is a change of heart. If you can't change it, then you can't bear it at all. Don't say anything, a person will be unparalleled happiness after immortality, that's not the case. Except for immortal cultivators, they have tempered their xing to an unparalleled strength, which they can adapt casually. Ordinary people, even if they are transformed into longevity species, do they want to adapt casually? It is also not an easy task, it takes time, and it needs to be dealt with seriously. In other words, this is an extremely important matter, and if it is not handled properly, it will be extremely troublesome. This is the difference between the long-lived species and the short-lived species, in fact. The most fundamental difference is that one's own life is the core. This is the fundamental reason. Wu slightly let out a breath of smoke. Alan said calmly. Second, calm down a little, really. I have been in seclusion for 2 years, and you have a problem. What you said last night is still a problem for you. It doesn't matter much. What? Newgate also rubbed his eyebrows and said, Brother. I didn't expect it to be like this. This situation really makes people feel the difference. 35. Alan also nodded to this. The situation of the second child is not a strange problem. This is the feeling that ordinary people should have at this age, just. His life has changed, so his mentality must be changed. In fact, at this point, the third child has changed very happily. After Kaido found out about his situation, the whole person was different. In Alan's words, it started to wave, and the whole person took off directly. This look is also quite interesting. But, no matter what it is, what is certain is that Kaido's mentality changes very quickly. Because of this is a very important thing. For a short-lived species, the first thing you need to consider when you want to transform is longevity. The transformation of the life of the species is a very important core issue at any time. Mindset. That's basically the core, and obviously, Kaido has done that too, and that's the best thing about it. Woo. A puff of smoke was exhaled. Alan said, Second, actually. Although you say this is a long time in your situation, but you still need to calm down and calm down from the heart. This is a very important thing. If you can't even do this, then you are the most troublesome thing. Big brother. I see. 9. Newgate nodded too. Of course he knew where the problem was, just. Although he said he knew it, it was not easy to change it. This is the fundamental reason. Actually, this is not a strange thing. It is true for anyone, even if you find the root of the problem. Does it mean that you can change it? Stop it. It's so easy there. If that were the case, then so many people wouldn't make mistakes. Yes, change is always the hardest thing for anyone, it's never easy to change, and that's the root cause. Remember, no matter it is for anyone, change is not an easy thing. If you can't do it, then everything is meaningless, even if you know what your problem is, but want to change, still very difficult. And now Newgate is in such a problem. He has indeed discovered his own problem, but want to change all this. It is difficult. It is difficult. Even if Newgate finds the problem, it is not good. Just change. Of course, this matter is not an urgent matter. For the longevity species, the best thing is, your own life is endless. And because it is endless, it is said, a lot of everything, I want to come dealing with it, then it can be dealt with slowly, and because of this is the most important thing, isn't it? Backquote he. Alan chuckled lightly and said, Second child, you don't need to rush, just change slowly. This is a problem brought about by the transformation of human beings to a higher level. And you only need time to deal with it slowly. That's good, because when time isn't a reminder to us, it doesn't matter. Goo la la la. Newgate laughed proudly and said, Brother. Don't talk too much about Laozi. I am Whitebeard, Edward Newgate. How could I be so embarrassed? I will adjust it in the shortest possible time. Yes, big brother, third child, you can rest assured. Alan shook his head and said, I've never worried about you, it's not a big deal after all. I'm not kidding, you're just like that. Do you need to worry too much? Get the hell out of here. He waved his hand calmly, but Alan felt that it didn't matter, just grow slowly, just pointed out this problem today, so let the Newgate guy continue to grow, other than that, other things are not big at all. That's it. Nollies. Goo la la la. Listening to his eldest brother's words, Newgate also laughed loudly, sure enough. It is indeed his eldest brother's character. Kaido is very casual, as he said with his legs up on the sofa, seriously. There is no need to worry about thinking so much, and there is no need to be anxious anyway, second brother, you can take it slow, anyway. It's not a big deal. Your state is already good, just a little change of mind, this is just a small problem. But, second brother, I think that what you need is a grand war, as long as it ends with a grand war, that is the most comfortable thing. Goo la la la. Newgate clenched his fist with one hand, his eyes flickered with horror and terrifying light, and said savagely, I think so too. If this is the case, then let's try it out, what is my strength? And what will happen next? Indeed. The brothers looked at each other, and a grim smile appeared. Obviously, their eyes were filled with endless terror, which was absolutely beyond doubt, and they all had absolute confidence. Newgate. But the second among Edward's 3 brothers. There won't be any problems, it's just that with the passage of time, there is a little need to continue some things to gradually deal with it. Will there be more problems? Stop messing around. It's just a change in mentality, as long as you deal with it a little bit, it's over, there's no doubt about it. There's no need to doubt it at all, it's just a small problem, it won't waste too much time at all, and Newgate of course, my own situation is also clear. The change of mentality will only take some time, which is nothing, it is a common problem of human beings. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. First update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 224. Cooperation. Target Atom Kingdom. Short-lived. Long live. The biggest change between the two is not a change in strength, nor a change in lifespan, but a change in mentality in the true sense. This is the most important, and the most fundamental core, so to speak. This is the most important fundamental. If you can't understand the fundamental core and truly know your own lifespan, then everything is actually meaningless, that's all. You have to admit it at any time, this is key core. Woo. A puff of smoke was exhaled, and Alan said casually, but, dude, it's almost enough to understand what the problem is, and you won't have too many problems in this regard. Yes. 55. Kaido also agreed. Second brother, this kind of problem is also a mentality problem. You can change it a little bit, it's not a big problem. Goo la la la. Newgate laughed loudly and said, you two bastards. It's really easy to say. But, forget it, you two are right, it's true, just relax a little and it's over. It is not a big problem, just adjust it. 99. Yes. Listening to Newgate's words, the two of them nodded calmly, indeed. This is not a big problem, so why are you nervous? You don't need to. After all, to be clear, this matter, it's not really a big deal, it's just a little thing. And in this situation is too simple. Does Newgate have no qualifications? No ability? Of course not. It is purely because of Newgate's character. Or, it is because Newgate has reached this age, so such changes will occur. This is not a strange thing. Gradually I understand it, and it is good to change a little. This is not a big thing, it is purely a small thing. These things are really nothing, because of this, they are just trivial things. Okay. Alan waved his hand and said, second child, you do your own research, anyway, it's just a little change of mind, it's not a big problem. What? I'm more curious now, what kind of thoughts these four guys will have. Seriously, regarding the Newgate issue, to put it bluntly, it doesn't matter if it is pointed out. This issue is really nothing, it is purely a small problem among small problems. If you take it too seriously, it will become a big problem. To put it bluntly, you don't need to take the 950 into your eyes. This is the fundamental reason. As for other issues, it's even more nonsense. It's just a joke. If Newgate's mentality can't be changed, so there is a problem. Hee. I'd rather die. This is the fundamental reason. There is no need to hesitate at all. Alan just didn't take this matter into his eyes from the beginning to the end, in his opinion. Newgate just needs to calm down a little bit and it's over. It's really nothing big problem. After all, it's just a matter of mentality. A little change can be enough. For some people, it can't be changed, but for Newgate, he will never experience the death of the most important relatives in all of them. In this case, then everything is small. Question. Small issue. Small issue. Alan didn't look at it, but was quietly waiting for something, and he was thinking about something in his heart. Snapped. Guillaume walked back at this time and said, Father, someone has come. Gia ha 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 ha. Hearing this familiar laughter, I knew that the person who came was Shiki. He laughed and looked around, with a ferocious smile on the corner of his mouth, and said cruelly, Alan. You are still alive. 95. 35. Hearing Shiki's words, Alan said interestingly, Shiki, you are still alive. How could Laozi be dead? After all, you can live to this point, how could Laozi die? Cut. 9. Humph. The two of them looked at each other with a sarcastic look, each of them looked down on each other, completely ignored each other, joking. These two guys have such an attitude. Anyway, is used to it, not a strange thing. 66.99. The atmosphere seemed to have become silent. Next moment. Ha ha ha. Gia ha 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 ha. Alan and Shiki both laughed arrogantly, as if they didn't care about all this. Alan sat down and said casually, Shiki. Come on, talk about it. Do you have any ideas? 5. Humph. Shiki's mouth widened, and he said savagely, indeed. We are going to cooperate with your Whitebeard Pirates, no matter what. Your Whitebeard Pirates are all very strong, and working with AGFJ, you can win each other's pirates. The possibility is the greatest. 99. Adam's Kingdom. That's right. For Alan to know, Shiki is not surprised at all, just kidding. According to Alan's ability, is it not a matter of course to know these things? This is not a strange thing. Shiki is very calm about this, but also very calm. And Alan waved his hands and said, let's do it. Seriously, you guys actually want to join forces with the three Laozi brothers to deal with the Kingdom of Adam. How many times have you guys suffered in the Kingdom of Adam? Shiki, Akoku, John, Silver Axe. The four of them sat down, and John said with a casual smile, well. There is no way. The opponent's strength is really strong, and the Adam Kingdom is really outrageous on this sea. I still couldn't see it in the past, but now, with the appearance of that monster, I really discovered it, and its strength is really terrifying. Silver Axe also said calmly, it is undeniable that the opponent's strength is extremely strong. If there is no suitable means, it will not be an opponent at all. Obviously, after these 10 years, John and Silver Axe have really grown up, and John still looks casual, but the more John is, the more difficult it is to deal with. There is no doubt about it because John is very aware of what will happen next, so he needs to think about everything. As for Silver Axe, needless to say, Silver Axe's character is like this. He used to be a tyrannical guy, but also an arrogant guy, but now Silver Axe has grown up, in a real sense grow up. Now Silver Axe doesn't seem to care about all this, and this is the most shocking thing. It can be said, in the past 10 years, Silver Axe's growth has been the greatest. From the arrogant guy he used to, he has restrained his arrogance, but it has become more determined and stronger. It can be said that Silver Axe really understood a lot, and it is no exaggeration that this man has undergone earth-shaking changes and transformations after he understood this. Woo! With a puff of smoke, Newgate hung a cigar and said very hawkily, looking at it this way, the strength of Atom Kingdom is indeed very strong. However, besides that monster, is there any other strong person in Atom Kingdom? At first, the big brother agreed to the deal because of that monster. There is nothing that can't be said, the strength of that monster is powerful, and I am not an opponent, but the other party also chose to trade through the treasure tree Atom. This is the way to guide this war. It can be said, there's nothing that can't be said, and it's not a big problem. 99. Alan waved his hand and said, it's really not a big deal, but it's not a big deal in the first place. I'm very curious about the strength of the Atom Kingdom now, after all. The Atom Kingdom back then was just a bunch of garbage. Seriously, this is not a joke. But when the three Edward brothers attacked the Atom Kingdom, the overall strength of the Atom Kingdom was like a weak chicken. Such strength is really not taken into account at all. To put it clearly, too weak. It's really not worth mentioning. Akoku threw his beard, thought for a moment, and then said, if it is compared to when your three brothers attacked, then my statement is that one day and one place, there is no comparison between the two sides at all. This is fundamental the reason. The current Atom Kingdom is very terrifying. I don't know where the Atom Kingdom got its special power, but the current Atom Kingdom, Vice Admiral and Admiral powerhouses all have them. Oh, Alan raised his eyebrows with interest and said interestingly, it seems that in the past 10 years, the strength of Atom Kingdom has been greatly improved. That's right. 39. Listening to Alan's words, Akoku nodded, because of this, we are not the opponents of Atom Kingdom, so consider cooperating with the three Edward brothers, according to the strength of the seven of us, seriously. Can we deal with Atom Kingdom or not? Hard to say. Alan was still breathing clouds and mist, but the expressions of Newgate and Kaido became sharp in an instant. According to the strength of these 7 people, no joke. Above this sea, it is enough to be called for the monster-like guy. Or, it is not an exaggeration to call it invincible, but, according to Akoku, if the 7 people join forces, it is not certain whether they are the opponents of Atom Kingdom. Gu la la la, worororo. Both Newgate and Kaido laughed excitedly. The 2 brothers were interested, and it was interesting. So, is it because of their strength? That is interesting. Let's try it out next. I want to see what the strength of the entire Atom Kingdom is like. After thinking for a while, Akoku thought about it. I am not particularly clear about the strength of Atom Kingdom, but except for the original 14 troops, the strength of the 14 generals has been terribly improved. And the strength of the 2 admiral troops is also extremely terrifying. In addition to that, there are still many other good players and powerhouses. These are all part of Atom's kingdom. Quote, the most terrifying thing is that Atom Kingdom no longer recruits from the outside world, in other words. These people are all within Atom Kingdom. This is what makes people feel strange. A country can be born so many the strong. To know, this is a very dignified thing, because in this world, even the largest country has a population of hundreds of millions at most. The population of this world is very large, but it is directly distributed like a sky full of stars. Above the sea, that's why. This is the very core of the world, so to speak. This is the most important reason. And under such circumstances, what is the next result? In fact, it is self-evident. It can be said without hesitation that the overall strength of the Atom Kingdom is absolutely terrifying and scary. Just look at Wano-kuni. In this long history, Wano-kuni directly gave birth to Shimotsuki Ryoma, Kazuki Oden, Shimotsuki Ushimaru, Momosuke, Fuji. Wait for such a strong man. I still know this, I don't know. There must be many. However, this is already a very scary thing, you must know. Wano-kuni is just a country. And all countries can give birth to so many strong people. This is an extremely important thing. Normally, it is not bad for a country to be able to give birth to a strong person within 100 years of an era, but there are so many people in the Atom Kingdom. This is a problem. Raising his eyebrows, Alan pondered for a while and said, if you look at it this way, the strength of the kingdom of Atom is indeed very terrifying. However, this is more interesting, isn't it? I think it is very interesting, and I want to look at how powerful Atom Kingdom is. Ha ha ha. Listening to Alan's crazy laughter, Akoku knows that this time the cooperation is basically stable. This is not a big problem, after all. According to the character of Alan, when encountering such an interesting thing, it is natural to want to, it's really normal to get involved. That's Alan's character. Other than that, 35. After thinking for a while, Akoku shook his head and said, seriously. Even if it's the 7 of us, I'm not absolutely sure, so. I'm thinking about whether I need to continue recruiting other people. Never mind. Alan shrugged and said very calmly, that's your business. Laozi agreed to this cooperation. The goal is the kingdom of Adam. It's still the same. Whoever can get what he gets depends on who gets what. No problem. Listening to Alan's words, Akoku nodded indifferently, so to speak. It's very simple, the cooperation between the two parties is settled like this, and that's enough. At least, in a short time, cooperation is no longer a problem. It can be seen. The strength of Adam Kingdom is really terrifying enough to let these guys take the initiative to seek cooperation. It is absolutely impossible for the characters of a few guys to do such a thing. After all, Silver Axe and Alan have a terrible hatred. But, after so many years, I can really see with a clear feeling that Silver Axe is really growing, and it is growing at an extremely terrifying level. This man has grown too fast. In just a short time. Silver Axe understands a lot, his arrogance is simply meaningless. Because of this, Silver Axe directly abandoned his so-called arrogance. He didn't take it all seriously, as if he didn't care at all. This is Silver Axe's current character. He abandoned his arrogance, and he did not give up his pride. Silver Axe knew that he needed to continue to grow, and this was his own efforts. If you can't do it yourself, then your pride will kill you. Because of this, Silver Axe is very clear about all this, and even more so, what will happen next. And this is the most important fundamental core. Above this C, only power. It is the most important and the most terrifying core. There is absolutely no doubt about it. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. Second update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. G chapter 225. The Turbulent Sea. Shiki, Akoku, John, Silver Axe, these 4 guys left, and as these 4 guys left, the 3 Edward brothers were also thinking about something, as if they were thinking about the next situation. Newgate pondered and said, Big brother, third child, it looks like. The strength of Adam Kingdom is really strong. It has reached the level that these guys actually need to join forces with people. This strength is probably already a little bit horrible. Listening to Newgate's words, Kaido nodded in agreement and said, that's true, according to Shiki's arrogance and their relationship with us, they chose to join forces, it seems. The whole Adam, the strength of the kingdom has probably risen to an astonishing level. Indeed. Newgate and Kaido are discussing, and what the two must admit is that the opponent's strength is really strong. This is not a joke, but a real fact. For this C, the alliance of the 4 of them is unquestionably powerful. Shiki, Akoku, John, Silver Axe, the alliance of these 4 people, it can be said that they are absolutely not weak in terms of strength, and because of this, this is the fundamental reason. People are so strong, so powerful that they make people feel terrified. But, such 4 powerful people, facing Adam Kingdom at this moment, actually need to find the 3 Edward brothers to form an alliance. This is a very interesting thing. What is the specific reason? In fact, it is very clear without thinking about it. The strength is strong enough, and it is the most terrifying power. Because of that, that's the most interesting thing, isn't it? It can be said, the strength of Adam Kingdom is so powerful, and this is the most interesting thing, even to say. It makes people feel very interesting. Breathing out a puff of smoke, Alan said casually. In this regard, the strength of Adam Kingdom has obviously undergone tremendous changes in these years. However, if you think about it for a while, it is a matter of course, the old monster had woken up, and what kind of strength such an old monster can exert is a matter of course. Alan thinks this is very normal, this is really not a strange thing, it should be said. It is too normal, after all. The strength of the other party is there. Adam, this guy, who knows how many years he has lived the old monster, and such an old monster, if anything happened. Nothing strange anymore. Indeed. Newgate agreed. This is an old monster who has lived for many years, and now it is finally resurrected, and after such an old monster is resurrected, there must be a lot of backups left behind, it is unnecessary doubtful things. Indeed. Just like what my eldest brother said, this is a real and unparalleled old monster, and such an old monster has been resurrected, so what is the overall strength? There is absolutely no doubt about this matter, such old monsters must have left behind one after another, and under such circumstances, the strength displayed is naturally undoubted. 99. After thinking for a while, Guillaume listened to the conversation of the parents, and then thought, Father. If this is the case, then the strength of Adam Kingdom still needs to continue to be evaluated. After uniting with us, the alliance of the 4 of them. It is still not over, obviously still looking for other people, and if this is the case, this strength is a bit too terrifying. Alan also nodded calmly and said calmly, that's true, if you look at this situation, you really feel unparalleled horror, but these things are relative, nothing is absolutely accurate. The follow-up can be considered slowly. Of course. The corners of Alan's mouth grinned, and he said grimly, but isn't this the most interesting thing? He. For this world, this is the most interesting thing. I am very much looking forward to what the next result will be. A cruel smile appeared. Alan's killing intent was really terrifying. Fear. You're not kidding. According to Alan's madman's character, he would be fearful. Stop making trouble. That is absolutely impossible. You know, this guy is a real terrifying lunatic. And such a lunatic, do you think he will be afraid? Stop making trouble. This is not realistic at all. Even say, according to Alan's character, it will only become more mad. This terrifying madman will only show more terrifying power, devouring everything completely and beheading the opponent completely. This is Alan. His character, that's right. Anyone who knows a little bit will know very well what kind of character this terrifying guy is. He, 35. With a sarcastic but weird smile on the corner of his mouth, Alan said in a slightly cruel way, this is the most interesting thing, isn't it? Little rabbit. If this sea had no challengers, even fighting if they all disappear, this sea is really too boring. Goo la la la, worororo. Listening to the words of my eldest brother, the two brothers looked at each other, and they couldn't help laughing. Yes. Yes. This is not a joke. It's a real fact. Not at all any jokes, but the real facts. Even Newgate, as he grew older, his original heart has undergone some changes, but at this moment, Newgate's heart has become completely different, because Newgate has gradually recovered. Still that sentence, Newgate's aptitude and personality are all enough, just. As time goes by, Newgate gradually fell into a daze. It is the most uncomfortable matter. Newgate's strength is there, but problems gradually appear because of age, which is not a good thing. It's just that, with the passage of time, the current Newgate has happened in his heart. Variety. Undeniable. The current Newgate is completely different. His strength, mind, all aspects. It has gradually changed. Under the guidance of his eldest brother, his original ambition has emerged again. The feeling is gradually receding. In fact, this is a very normal thing. Newgate's strength is here. He just had some small problems as he got older, and now. The small problems have been dealt with, so is everything still a problem? Of course it is not a problem. Everything has been dealt with, and these are no longer any problems. It is the most important and the most critical, or in other words, the fundamental core of everything that deserves the most attention. As long as you understand this a little bit, you will be very clear about Newgate's mentality. And this mentality has gradually recovered. Woo. He let out a long sigh, and Newgate rubbed his eyebrows slightly, and didn't say anything next, because it was absolutely unnecessary. Since it is not necessary, of course it does not need to be said. What's up? Guillaume listened to his father's words, and thought a little, Father, you have to be a little more serious, after all. Adam Kingdom's strength is strong enough, it is inappropriate to pay the price too carelessly. Don't worry. Alan waved his hands casually and said, the Shiki guys will definitely be ready for this, after all. For them, the next thing is the most interesting, isn't it? A funny smile emerges, and Alan knows very well that what comes next is the most interesting. After all, a lot of everything is most important when it's in front of you, isn't it? Next, Shiki and the others will still have other preparations. The four of them know very well that the opponent's strength is strong enough. If that's the case, then of course it's impossible to relax their vigilance. Well, but it will really die. After all, the four of them have really seen the strength of Adam Kingdom again and again, and after they have really seen it, they will definitely not have any carelessness. If they have seen the strength of the other party, they are still full of carelessness, was killed. So, it can only be said that these four people deserve to die even if they are dead. There is no need to think about this. It can be said that the four guys, Shiki, Akoku, John, and Silver Axe, will definitely do a good job. Prepare, even say. It feels outrageous, but the four of them will still be ready for it all. Woo. He let out a deep breath of turbid air and thick smoke, and the corners of Alan's mouth grinned and said savagely, the next thing is going to be very interesting. In that case, I don't need any hesitation. The next thing, but more and more interesting. Isn't it? 35. Ha ha ha. Just going out to sea, and encountering such a turbulent sea again, Alan also thinks it is very interesting. What will this sea be like next? This is a very interesting thing. Search. Licking the corner of his mouth slightly, Alan's smile is full of madness and hideousness, and it is full of endless greed. Everything will be different in the future. Moreover, it will become very interesting. Flying Sky Pirates, Wufeng Pirates, Silver Axe Pirates, John Pirates, these four pirates form the Pirate Alliance. For this news, almost 99% of the people above the sea already know about it. Yes, this is a thing that everyone knows, it is not a strange thing. 0. Katakana middle dot ask for flowers katakana middle dot. But, this time, the alliance of these four pirates actually came into contact with the Whitebeard Pirates, which is completely different. To know, the Whitebeard Pirates are known as the number 1 pirates in the world. They possess invincible power. The three Edward brothers are stronger than each other. They are as terrifying as 3 monsters. This is the most terrifying thing. Brothers' strength is too strong. Because of this, the Whitebeard Pirates can be called the number 1 pirates in the world, so to speak. You have to pay attention to this order. The Whitebeard Pirates are called the number One pirates in the world because of them. The existence of Edward's three brothers is so scary enough that this is the reason for becoming the world's #1 pirate group. Instead of saying, after they became the world's #1 pirate group, the three of them became famous. The sequence was different, and their strengths were naturally different. Therefore, this time, the four-person pirate alliance actually came into contact with these four guys. This is not a very simple thing. It is even said that this is a very dignified thing, which is unknown to many new generation people, after all. A full decade has passed. But, for many people, they are extremely, even very clear. In the past, the Rocks pirate was an invincible and terrifying force, can it be said? Is this invincible Rocks pirate going to be resurrected again? And this is them something I don't want to accept at all. 0. That's right. They don't want to accept this at all, such a difference in strength, even to say. The problem in the middle is too big. If the once invincible Rocks pirate is resurrected, and according to the strength of these monsters now, it will be the most terrifying. This is something that they cannot accept at all and absolutely cannot accept. Only, whether they can accept it or not, this time, the meeting between the two parties is the most terrifying signal. Whether you are willing to accept it or not, this is something that you cannot change at all, and what will happen next? What happened? This is the most important and the most fundamental core. Whether it is acknowledgement or denial, the next thing will be extremely troublesome. What? Are these guys going to gather together again? It's really scary. On an island, sitting on the edge of a reef, this is a man with a broken leg. He was once a powerful pirate, but in the face of the invincible power of the Rocks pirate, he eventually became falling down. It is not a level opponent at all. There is no comparison. It can be said that this is the only result. Because of this, he fell, and he was silent. He found that all his efforts were worthless. In this case, then it is pointless to continue. Therefore, he gave up, and finally gave up everything he had, just quit the sea and became an ordinary person above the sea. Right now, he looked at the newspaper in his hand, but murmured, as the monster from the past about to appear again. Rocks pirate. This invincible, terrifying, godlike power is the most terrifying. What I feel is only endless fear and eternal terror, and under such a result, everything really makes people feel endless fear. However, he shook his head with a chuckle, and with a side look, he said casually, does this have anything to do with me now? I am just a waste now. Thinking about so much as a waste is nothing at all. It's a meaningless thing. It's better to watch it quietly. Really, at any time, this sea is a turbulent sea, and then? What will happen? It's really exciting. He quietly looked at the piece in front of him, but no one knew what he was thinking in his heart, but he knew that everything would be different in the future, and that would be the real development. From the difference of soul and heart, completely. Everything will change. 2 years. In the past 2 years, the Whitebeard Pirates seemed to have disappeared, and as time went by, the current Whitebeard Pirates reappeared, and in their place will be this world, and the next will be the end. What is it like? P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. Third update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 226. Marines Action. The growth of the new generation. Whitebeard Pirates, Flying Sky Pirates, Five Peaks Pirates, John Pirates, Silver Axe Pirates. The former is the strongest pirate group in the world, while the latter is the most terrifying pirate alliance in the world. It can be said without hesitation that the meeting between the two will bring the most terrifying effects to this sea. Things, no one wants them to make deals with each other, or what kind of actions they have with each other. But, whether anyone is willing to admit it or not, whether anyone is willing to agree to such a result, now. This is something that is beyond doubt, the other party. Gradually they have come together, and this is the most important thing, they have gathered together. Agree, deny, this point is simply meaningless. For this sea, no one else can change all of this, because their gathering is no longer something that anyone can handle. Brother, I heard that those monsters have a party again. Ghost knows. What are these monsters actually trying to do? I do not know. On an island in the New World, some people gathered together to discuss this matter in 2s and 3s, not just them. On this sea, many people were discussing this matter, and everyone was I feel very strange, why is this thing like this? Actually, this is what makes everyone feel strange. In the past 2 years, the Whitebeard Pirates rarely appeared, as if they had disappeared, and because of this. This is what makes people feel the most a wonderful thing, no one knows what happened, and no one knows what will happen next. Only, the result is already in front of you. 950s, is the root cause of everything. This is the most root cause ever. That's why. This is the most amazing thing. Time, and when the Whitebeard Pirates reappeared, these people gathered together. Therefore, this is the most dignified thing. This is a really undoubted thing. What will happen next? This is what everyone is thinking about. This is what everyone is thinking about, and the most important thing, undeniably said. This is the fundamental reason, this is beyond doubt. Woo, you said, what is the purpose of these monsters gathering this time? Wouldn't it be to attack Marine headquarters? Ha ha ha. Do not joke. Some people think it's a joke, and everyone thinks this is a very strange thing, but Some people don't think so. They used to be the older generation of pirates, or the former crew of Rock's Pirate. That's right. A lot of Rock's Pirates' former crew members have actually retired. They just disappeared like this. Some of them are seriously injured, and some feel that their life is almost the end of their lives. Because of this, they chose to retire. And over. For them, this magnificent sea no longer belongs to them. It seems that it is not a bad thing to dissipate and end like this. Because of this, everything gradually came to an end. And the speaker is not intentional and the listener is intentional. Some people think that this is like a simultaneous joke, attacking Marine headquarters. This is not a joke. How could someone have such power above this sea? Actually, it can be seen from this that the power of the world government is really terrifying. It not only completely hides the Valley of the Gods, but also hides everything about Rock's Pirate, as if all this it's all gone, and because of that, that's the most important thing, isn't it? Needless to say, this is a fundamental thing, along with it all disappeared, and because of this. Everything that once happened in the Valley of the Gods has disappeared without a trace. It makes people feel strange and at a loss. What happened? What happened? What will happen next? That's what makes everyone feel the difference, no matter what. It's all happening right in front of your eyes. There's no doubt about it, and that's why it's all happening right in front of your eyes. The fundamental reason is that there is no need to say more. Woo. Wei Wei let out a breath of turbid air, and the old pirate shook his head silently and whispered softly, everything in the future. Exactly what it will be like, no one knows, no matter what it is, in fact. It's an unimportant thing, because everything is already in front of you. Shaking his head with emotion, he has no more words. For him, it is meaningless to think about these things. Everything has come to an end like this, and that's it. It should end like this. It is already the core of the key foundation, and this is beyond doubt, and this is the sufficient core, and it is the fundamental key core. For him, whether it fails or succeeds, he doesn't care. All of this, let alone care about it, all of these are meaningless things. Because all this is over, it is simply meaningless. This is the fundamental reason. He. Quietly looking into the distance, he just chuckled lightly, next. Just wait quietly, although I don't know what the next result will be, but that's it. Take a look, what will the next result be, or rather, what will happen? Exclamation mark. It's all like this, just look at it in front of you, and this matter, like a violent storm, swept the whole world in a short period of time. The whole world knew about this matter, and almost everyone they are discussing with each other, and they are all thinking about how to deal with this matter. And this matter, what will happen next, and this is the most important thing, and that's why. Everyone is thinking, the next thing is undoubtedly important. Interesting. Some people who have ideas, they are funny, and the corners of their mouths are raised, and everything will become more and more interesting. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. And here, Marine is also thinking very seriously about the situation this time. They never thought that such a thing would happen. After all, why did Shaki and the others form an alliance? As long as they are not idiots, they are very clear. They found that the strength of the three Edward brothers was too strong, and under such circumstances, they chose to form an alliance to deal with this matter, and this was their idea. In addition to that, the second point is the most troublesome and the most troublesome thing. When the two parties who are completely opponents collide, what will the result be? In fact, it is self-evident use thing. The next thing will become very troublesome, even to say. Everything will become abnormally uncomfortable. No kidding. If it is not handled properly, what will be the result of the next? In fact, it is self-evident. It really gives me a headache. Yes. What is the purpose of the meeting between the two parties? Who knows? 9. Marine is very busy now, dealing with all the information, analyzing and sorting everything, absolutely can't have any problems, it can be said. They are really working hard, this is really no joke. They know that if this matter is not handled properly, everything in the future will become extremely difficult. This is really not a joke, everything that follows will be in a very troublesome situation, and it needs to be handled carefully, because can become extremely difficult to handle. Woo. Taking a deep breath, they all shook their heads. The specific situation, to be honest, it's not particularly rude from Tsinghua University. Now it seems that no matter what the situation is, they are still going to get busy. There are so many things to deal with, this is really getting more and more headaches. In such a situation where there is no way to do anything, the next step is to really deal with all this. This is the most fundamental and core thing. And because of this, on top of this, it is the most important thing. The most important thing. Marine's situation is very serious. They didn't dare to be careless, after all. Marine also knew very well that the gathering of the two sides would bring too great a result to this sea. If it was not handled properly, it would bring about the result of making the whole world crazy, may be uncertain. Because of this, I don't dare to have any carelessness. Just like the future era, the contact of the four emperors was simply unacceptable to Marine. Undeniable. Marine's strength is very strong, and the four emperors group of the four emperors alone is nothing in Marine's eyes, but why didn't Marine exterminate them one by one? Because pirates are not idiots, when you exterminate alone, the other party will also joining forces. If all four emperors join forces, the power they exert is unparalleled and terrifying. It will cause a huge crushing victory for Marine, and this. It is only part of it. If it continues, what will be the next result? It is already self-evident. This is the fundamental core, balance. Balance. The fundamental reason for balance is not to say who is the most powerful party, but to say, no one can act rashly. This is the real balance, and it is also the most fundamental core. It can be said without any anger. All these come together, and the next thing is completely different. Snapped. Snapped. Walking on the road step by step, the young Kuzan looked at the information in front of him and said with emotion, "It's really scary. It's like a monster with strength. Such a guy really makes people feel terrified." 35. Although he said so, Kuzan is very calm. Now Kuzan is just a rear admiral, or rather, almost all those who joined Marine back then were rear admiral. In terms of their speed, they have made great progress. Fast. Them. One by one are the monsters of the new Marine generation. He. Leaning on crutches, he smiled and said, "Kuzan, this doesn't seem to be a strange thing. After all, Marine's strength is strong. However, these two monsters are also very terrifying to gather together. If you're not careful, something unparalleled may happen next." 5. Hearing the words with a smile, Kuzan naturally nodded. 10 years ago, with the recruitment of the world, the strength of the entire Marine has been greatly supplemented, so to speak. This is the core of the core, this. There is absolutely no doubt about it, no matter what time it is, you must admit it, Marine's strength is very strong. But, this time the world conscription and the recruitment of recruits really made many monster teenagers hidden in the folk join Marine, which brought a huge improvement to Marine. This is a very good thing for Marine, it is also a very important thing at the same time. It's terrifying. It's scary. Although Polsolino is still young, he already looks very wretched. How should I put it? Although Polsolino is very young, he still has such a character. He looks like a message, saying that he is afraid. Come on. It is indeed pretending to be afraid, but it gives the impression that it is really obedient. Humph. 55. Faced with such a person, you should directly kill him. There is only terrifying killing intent in Aramaki's eyes. He is a person who abides by absolute justice, and he abides by the justice of celestial dragons. However, because he joined Marine very early, he has been taught by Sengoku, and now Aramaki it's a bit of a deviation. It can be said that Huang Mu is now abiding by justice, and this justice is more deviated, and it has become a different kind of justice. Woo. A puff of smoke was exhaled, and Shiryu stood aside with his mouth wide open, and said savagely, "I really want to defeat these people. It's too interesting. If I can defeat these people, I can become an admiral." Even though the time to join Marine is shorter, Shiryu is also a member of Marine, not to join Impel Down, but the character of the person is like this, and Shiryu is such a character, very scary and scary. 5.9 This is Shiryu's character. He kills. Terrible. But under Zephyr's teaching, Shiryu, although talking about killing and terror, puts this terror on other people, which is already the most important thing, or rather, this is the most important thing. Because of this, under such a foundation, everything that follows is the most important thing and the most fundamental core thing, isn't it? This is the fundamental core. Everything is getting more and more interesting. And what will happen next? Isn't this a very interesting thing? Or rather, for everyone, the next sea will be getting turbulent again. I think so. Magellan pondered. If this is the case, it will bring huge problems to the sea, after all. The contact between the two sides will become very troublesome. Indeed it is. Listening to Magellan's words, everyone nodded, everyone was very calm, they all knew what the next thing would be, or rather, what would the next result be like? I was thinking carefully in my heart, and everyone's expressions were very solemn. It is undeniable, just like what Magellan said, this matter is actually very troublesome. After all, if the two join forces, if they really join forces, no matter who it is aimed at, it will be a huge danger to this sea, don't think it's a joke. It's a real fact. Given the strength of the Rocks pirate in the past, it's really terrifying. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. 4th update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 227. Thinking of the heroes. Is the monster reappearing? Exclamation mark. The door of the office was pushed open, and Garp, Zephyr, and Crane walked into the office. Sengoku waved his hands without raising his head and said, "Sit down first. It's really a headache. These guys, one by one it's just not being able to settle down. Sengoku is really getting a headache, these guys. One by one is a little restless." Soon, when Sengoku finished his work, he raised his head, rubbed his eyebrows, and lit a cigarette skillfully. For Sengoku, he never touched alcohol or tobacco. Sengoku is a very calm person. And these things, for Sengoku, he knows that although it will make people very relaxed, it will numb his nerves, which is definitely not a good thing. And because of this, Sengoku's face was solemn, and he gradually changed everything. Under such circumstances, Sengoku actually lit a cigarette now, and from the ashtray, it was already the cigarette butt that I couldn't put down can be seen. Sengoku's pressure is also very huge, this is really no joke. Sengoku. 35. Zephyr frowned slightly. You better calm down. Otherwise, if there is a problem with your body, then everything will be troublesome. 35. Sengoku shook his head and said, it's not a big problem. These are not big problems, it's really a headache. The alliance of the 3 Edward brothers and Shiki and the other 4 is the biggest problem, and according to Marine's intelligence, Shiki has gone to IWC Toto land after leaving the Moby Dick. What? The expressions of Garp and Zephyr instantly became ugly. One thing to be clear is that among the people who used to be Rock's pirate, in fact, the strength is very terrifying. Except for Rock's, the remaining monsters are separated. The 3 Edward brothers, the 3 of them have always been one body. Although Sengoku attracted countless people to target the Whitebeard Pirates in the way of killing, but unfortunately the final result was meaningless. With Shiki's defeat in Atom Kingdom, he finally formed an alliance with Silver Axe, Akoku, and John, and became the current alliance. Although the Pirate Alliance is something that everyone knows about 06, but until now this alliance is still if it is not lifted, it has already proved everything. Besides, there are still many reasons, it can be said. There are really many problems, it just depends on how to deal with them. If this large number of problems are dealt with well, then naturally there is no need to say more. But if it is not handled well, if these monsters including Linlin are really brought together to form the Rock's Pirate Alliance, what kind of concept is that? Stop it. The current Rock's Pirate is even more terrifying than it was in the past, although it is said. Lost the terrifying monster Rocks, but the remaining 9 monsters are even more terrifying. In particular, no one knows how far the 2 most terrifying monsters, Alan and Beloric, have reached. It has been more than 10 years. And at this time, if it has passed, what will be the next result? In fact, this is beyond doubt. Perhaps, the next thing to bear will be endless terror. This is the most terrifying thing. Because of this, at this moment, Sengoku is so dignified, he is really very heavy, because Sengoku is very clear that the next thing is the most troublesome, even to say. The most headache. You have to deal with all this, and if you don't deal with it, then it's a matter of heaven and earth. With a slight sigh, Sengoku shook his head silently and said, the matter is here, it is indeed very difficult to handle. In addition, the most troublesome thing is not only that, the gathering of these people will bring about huge problems. It's not that the monster will reappear. It's that after they have come together for the first time, what about the next time? What about the third time? What about the fourth time? This is the most terrifying thing. Many things, as long as you repeat them again and again, then you can do it again and again. This is the most important thing. Quote. Listening to Sengoku's words, the 3 of them nodded solemnly, and everyone fell into silence, thinking about these things in their hearts, and thinking about what they would fall into next. These are the things that need to be considered and dealt with. Woo. He let out a deep sigh of turbid air. Everyone was rubbing the rice and feeling disgusting. The matter was right in front of us. It was really hard to deal with, if we were not careful, or became very troublesome. The result will be the result of destruction. This is definitely not a joke, but a real fact. If you are really careless, it will be the end of destruction. Yes. Crane nodded calmly and said. Everything else is very easy to deal with, and the real trouble is this matter in front of us. When these monsters gather together, we need to consider this. Now. Listening to Sengoku and Crane's words, Garp nodded, although he didn't say anything, while Zephyr thought about it. If this is the case, then the next thing is also a very troublesome thing. It needs to be carefully consider the fundamental core of the problem. If it is handled well, let's not talk about it. If it is not handled well. Without a doubt, Crane nodded and said. The gathering of these guys is an important thing in itself. It can be said that all these are the fundamental core. The trouble they can bring in the future is the greatest. Indeed. Sengoku also nodded and said. Because of this, this matter needs to be carefully thought about. If there is a problem, then it is the biggest problem. It can be said that the core of all this is extremely important. Squinting his eyes, he carefully thought about many things, while Sengoku was thinking carefully about everything that might happen next in his heart. It's going to be a hassle. 99. Sighing silently, Sengoku continued. The next thing, I am afraid it will be the real trouble. If it is handled well, let's not talk about it. If it is not handled well, everything will be extremely troublesome and difficult to handle. Everyone nodded seriously. Of course they knew this, but no matter what, the next thing needs to be dealt with. Whatever it is, Marines are going to act, take precautions, whatever their purpose. 99. Everyone nodded solemnly, and then they started to get busy, and there were more and more things. And the next problems are getting bigger and bigger. No matter what, these are extremely important things. Marine. This behemoth began to get busy in a short period of time. They didn't have any definite actions, but they were keenly aware of all this, and they hid it all. It can be said that they were very dignified. Consider all of this very seriously, and dare not have any carelessness. And this is the fundamental reason. No matter at any time, absolutely cannot have any carelessness. Marine needs to consider everything at any point in time, if there is a problem at a certain point in time. That is the most troublesome thing. Snapped, snapped, step by step, and the entire naval headquarters has begun to be busy. Everyone is extremely eager to start to deal with everything that should be dealt with now, but as time goes by, Marine's movements have become faster and faster, and then everything. Naturally, there is no doubt about it. Quote. The expression is very dignified. Each Marine is extremely heavy. They know that everything that follows will be extremely troublesome. There must be no carelessness. Otherwise, it will be extremely troublesome. Everything that follows is the most frustrating thing. Taking a deep breath of turbid air, everyone's expressions are extremely solemn. What will happen next? This is the most important thing. Wow. Pillar. 35. The pirate ship sails on the sea, and the owner of this ship is of course the 8 Treasures Navy, and Qingjiao is practicing boxing. 8 punches. This is a skill handed down by the 8 Treasures Marines, just like the Murloc's Murloc Karate, Murloc Jiu-Jitsu, and the Giant's Elbaf Spear. They are all extremely powerful techniques, so to speak. Terror. If you learn the core profound meaning, the power it exerts is absolutely very important, and it is an extremely amazing thing. The perfect combination of the two, and the power that will be exerted next is something that is beyond doubt. Because of this, everything that follows is extremely important, it is undeniable. This is the fundamental core. He let out a deep breath, and Green Pepper stood up, wiped his sweat, and said calmly, "What happened?" Green Pepper is very calm. In the past, Green Pepper didn't pay much attention to Ba Chongquan, because of his own talent. He has a head like a cone, which is also Green Pepper's powerful strength. Only, with the passage of time, the Green Pepper gradually discovered, it can't be like this. All this is simply not enough. If it goes on like this, it is not qualified at all. Because of this, the Green Pepper finally chose to give up all this, not said that he had given up his cone head, but while he was cultivating his cone head hard, he also worked hard to cultivate the 8 Chong Fist, the 3-color top 100. Combining all of these, this is the strength that a real strong man should exert, and this is the current Green Pepper. It can be said, under the influence of Alan, Green Pepper, Silver Axe, Akoku, John, the strength of each of these people has been greatly improved, and they have all been improved beyond the strength of the original, which is absolutely beyond doubt. Even the 4 said unceremoniously that their strength had risen to an extremely terrifying level. Now they are worthy of the title of monsters in this era, and this is the most suitable title. Pillar. The people of the 8 Treasures Marine Corps came quickly and reported, Dongliang. This is the latest information. The Shaki 4-member alliance has contacted the 3 Edward brothers. 35. The reason is not particularly clear for the time being, but the contact between them is what they want to do. This is a very important thing. Oh, there was a smile on the corner of Qingjiao's mouth, and the expression was very interesting, and it was very calm. It seemed that there was no change at all. He didn't take all of this into his eyes at all, and thought about all of this carefully in his heart. Green Pepper nodded and said, I see, it seems. These people are obviously planning to do something interesting. In that case, I am quite interested in this matter. After thinking about it, Qingjiao said, let someone arrange it. I want to take a look and find enough information. I want to know their purpose. Yes. 5. The man stepped back, and the Green Pepper looked into the distance, and murmured interestingly, it's really interesting. What are you guys trying to do? Or rather, what is your goal? Rayleigh. 35. Roger looked at the information in his hand, but he really found it very interesting. He couldn't help but shouted interestingly, Rayleigh. Look, this is really interesting. Such a thing happened. 35. 99. Hearing Roger's words, if Rayleigh picked it up, he was stunned for a moment, and said in astonishment, these people are actually connected to each other. Are they planning to continue to rebuild Rock's pirate? Impossible. Roger said without hesitation. This is absolutely impossible. These guys are more terrifying than each other, how could they form Rock's pirate? Their ambitions, and these guys, except for the one named Rock's D. Zebek's monsters, and no one can really make them obey. 39. Listening to Roger's words, and Rayleigh nodded slightly, it is true. It is undeniable that these monsters are very powerful. However, they are also the owner of terrible ambition and ambition of their own. Because of this, they are very clear, what will happen next, or what will the next result be? Rayleigh pondered. It seems. It should be that Shaki and the others encountered a situation where they were not opponents, so they chose to join the 3 Edward brothers, after all. In the past 2 years, the Whitebeard Pirates have almost never appeared. They obviously have their own ideas. In this case, there must be other reasons. Good. Jabba nods in agreement. Yes. 2 full years have passed. In these 2 years, the Whitebeard Pirates can't be called the evaporation of the world, but apart from going out to sea casually every now and then, most of the time, they don't participate into it, and that's the very important thing. What does the Whitebeard Pirates want to do? And what will happen next? This is a very important thing. Let's not talk about it if it is handled well, what if it is not handled well? Obviously. All of this is the very core of it, and that's why. The Whitebeard Pirates are simply not interested in all of this, and they have no idea of being involved at all. They are dead. They just have some other ideas. To be honest, the fundamental reason is here. The Whitebeard Pirates have been around for 2 years, and then. The most fundamental reason is, who are Shiki and others trying to target? And, it's not just who you want to target, but whether the alliance is successful or not. This is the most important thing, and it is the most important core of everything. When everything is coming together, this is extremely important. The most fundamental core, the combination of the two is the fundamental of everything. Absolutely the most important thing. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. 5th update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 228. Blackbeard 3 siblings. Murloc Jack. Gia ha 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 ha. Shiki laughed in a familiar manner, and his eyes flashed a sharp light. He looked at the woman in front of him and said, Linlin, we haven't seen each other for almost 10 years, haven't we? Momomo mom. Linlinji also let out a heroic laugh, the whole person was like a ferocious ghost, and said cruelly, Shiki. You, this guy, came to my mother. What? You are talking about the 3 guys from Alan. So are you planning to ask an old lady to help you? 5. Linlin is of course very clear about the uproar that has been rumored on the sea. Others may not know what Shiki is doing, but I am very clear about them. Very clear, if there is no accident. Essentially, it's that Shiki asked Alan and others to cooperate. As for the final result, success or failure, this is hard to say. But it doesn't affect Linlin to make fun of Shiki. Cut. Shiki curled his lips and said, the cooperation between Laozi and this bastard Alan has been reached. Next, Laozi is here to ask you, do you want to be together? Oh, what kind of deal? 35. Linlin is also interested, and can get the 3 Edward brothers and the 3 lunatics to agree to the transaction. I am also very curious, what kind of transaction can be done? You know, anyone who knows a little bit is very clear. Alan, Newgate, Kaido, these 3 Edward brothers are just real lunatics, or even say. They are like monsters, and such a group of guys, what kind of things do you think they will do? Seriously, if you go to them to cooperate, their biggest possibility is to give you a wave and kill you directly. But the fact is that such a thing did not happen, and Shiki's transaction with the other party has been successful, and because of this, that's the funniest thing, isn't it? Gia ha 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 ha. Shiki's mouth grinned, and he said savagely, it's very simple. For the kingdom of Adam, this country is very rich. Needless to say, you should be very clear, because of this. You should be very clear, if you can control the country, then what a huge benefit it gets. Impossible, Linlin said without hesitation. That guy in this country is an old monster. Even if it is destroyed, it is absolutely impossible to surrender to us. This is absolutely unrealistic. Although Linlin is often like a mad woman, in fact, the fundamental reason is that when Linlin was young, under the bulimia, he ate the nun, and he inherited the soul from the nun's body. Soul fruit. In other words, even though Linlin is still Linlin, but the influence of nuns on Linlin is also very huge, and this is one of the essence of Linlin's madness. It can be said that Linlin is so crazy, there is no doubt about it, but the root cause of the problem that is, although the influence is quite large, it does not mean that Linlin is an idiot. Quite the opposite. Linlin is also a very smart person, there is no doubt about it, there is absolutely no need for doubt, and there is no need to hesitate, there is absolutely no doubt about it. For so many years, Linlin has been growing rapidly, not to mention in a place like Rock's Pirate, if he doesn't have enough ability, he just doesn't know how to die, it's like a joke. That place is really very dangerous. This is definitely not a joke, but a real, very terrifying, extremely terrifying fact. Anyone who only needs to think about it a little will understand this. Because of this, although Linlin said he looked silly, he was still very clear about these things. 35. Linlin said casually. So, Shiki, are you planning to directly destroy the kingdom of Adam? Gia ha 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 ha. That's right. With a cruel smile on the corner of Shiki's mouth, the whole person is extremely ferocious and terrifying. I have already prepared all the means. This time, as long as you participate in it, then the kingdom of Adam will definitely be destroyed. It is without a doubt. Momomo mom. Good, Linlin said grimly. Then, the old lady is also involved in it. After all, this is a dignified superpower. If such a superpower can be destroyed, it must be a very exciting thing. The old lady is also very excited. Search. The corners of Linlin's mouth grinned, and what emerged was endless madness. This is really exciting. After all, what will the next result be? Ha ha ha. This is very interesting. So, happy cooperation. Happy cooperation. The two sides have established a cooperative relationship. This matter is settled so far. Shiki then left. He has other things to deal with. After so many years of battles, Shiki has gradually understood. The strength of the kingdom of Adam is very terrifying. If this is the case, what will be the result? So, Shiki must be fully prepared. No matter what happens next, he must be prepared for success. This is Shiki very clear. The most important thing, absolutely. Absolutely. There can be no carelessness. If it is a little careless, then the price paid may be the price of life, which is absolutely unacceptable. Wu Wei Wei let out a breath of turbid air, and Shiki left. Looking at Shiki who was leaving, Linlin narrowed his eyes slightly and said, Katakuri. What do you think of Shiki's proposal? Mother. Katakuri, as the Charlotte family, the Big Mom Pirates, and the Wanguo Toto land, can be said to be the most outstanding person, a person who is completely intelligent and brave, and what kind of person can such a person play? Strength. Actually, Katakuri was really delayed in Toto land, and many other things delayed Katakuri, and made Katakuri unable to fully utilize its potential, otherwise one can develop observation hockey to a person who peeks into the future. How powerful do you think his talent is? Actually, as long as it is a little bit of understanding, it is very clear. Unfortunately, in the end, Katakuri was still delayed, there is no doubt about it. However, other than that, there are still things that can be dealt with. As time goes by, the next thing is also very easy to deal with. After all, the sea has changed now. What will Katakuri be next? No one knows. What will happen next? No one knows. Wu. Katakuri sighed and said solemnly, Mom. There is no problem with participating in the attack on Atom Kingdom. There is no problem with this, but if. Katakuri is also thinking, success is the best thing. But what if it fails? Fail. Momomo Mom. Linlin laughed loudly. Katakuri, don't worry. You don't know the three Edward brothers, these three lunatics, since they are involved in it, it is almost impossible to fail. Don't doubt, the three of them are real the madman, and the most terrifying madman who will never die. For these three madmen, everything is the easiest thing. A cruel smile emerged. Linlin had absolute confidence in the three Edward brothers. Joke. Since the three brothers also participated in it, it has been proved that the result this time is only victory. There is absolutely no doubt about it. In that case, Katakuri said seriously, Mom, this is a good opportunity. The development of Toto land has been in a deadlock recently. In terms of intelligence, because you are developing seriously, Mom, we need a lot of Bailey, can continue to develop the intelligence organization. 35. Linlin nodded as well, still saying that, she is not an idiot, she has already determined what to do when. Wow, is that the Moby Dick? Damn it. 35. Why did this pirate ship appear here? This is the Whitebeard Pirates. 99. Calm. Everyone is calm down. The Whitebeard Pirates rarely attack ordinary people, you all calm down. 35. With this deafening roar, everyone seemed to gradually calm down, and they just reacted, yes. For a long time, the Whitebeard Pirates seldom took action against civilians. This is why, the strength of the Whitebeard Pirates is growing wildly, but it is completely different from the Rocks Pirate that was almost shouted by the whole people. The fundamental reason is here. Alan won't let the Whitebeard Pirates plunder these ordinary people at all, mainly because it is meaningless. This is just a group of ordinary people, even if you kill them all, they will essentially have nothing to do meaning, because the income will not increase. Just a group of ordinary people, if you kill them, can you get more? It's like making a joke. If ordinary people had so many interests, then the pirates would have become rich one by one, and then lived a rich life, as for being a pirate every day. To put it bluntly, this is the fundamental reason. What? This is a little devil, he looked at the huge Moby Dick and whispered softly, this is the only chance. There is only one chance, I have to live with my sister, only they can save my sister. Yes, as long as I can save my sister, I'm willing to give anything for it. Are you giving everything? As this interesting voice sounded, the kid suddenly turned his head and looked at the man standing beside him. He didn't know when he appeared beside him, wearing a captain's coat and a long knife hanging from the right side of his waist. On the left is a musket, and who is such a man? Edward Allen. The kid murmured and looked at Allen, he immediately recognized who this man was. This is the most terrifying monster in the world. After the death of this man, Rox D. Zebek, this man seems to be the #1 man in the world. Quote. Alan looked at this kid, and the two little girls who were dying, basically dying of illness, who was behind him, and said calmly, 66 kid. Remember, starting today, whether you have ever what's your surname, from today onwards your surname is Edward. Your sisters, it's ready. 35. The divine power of an invisible horse charm fell, and everything seemed to have returned to calm, for a moment. Or rather, just this moment, it gave people a strange feeling. Everything is calm. There was a smile on the corner of his mouth. Alan didn't say anything, and left with these three little devils. Marshall D. Teach. Do not. Edward Teach. This kid is now called Edward Teach. For Blackbeard, Alan has always had his own ideas. This Teach, who can be said to be a dutiful son, Alan knows that he wants to kill him. That is fundamental unrealistic thing. Or, this is something that doesn't make any sense at all, it doesn't make any sense at all. The best way is to include him in that kind, not to mention. Killing is very easy, but With such a penultimate talent, if killing him, wouldn't it be a bit too wasteful to kill him? Therefore, Alan knows very well that the best way is to take the complete master of Teach in his hands and become a member of the Whitebeard Pirates, as it turns out. This is a very simple thing. Fettered little devil. Remember, for a person's master, it's actually very simple, as long as you hold his heart, then everything is very easy, just like Teach, Bullet, and Carmenio. It will obediently recognize you as their family, and this is enough, and gradually you can let them stay completely, and this is enough. Bullet, Carmenio, are no problem. Then, Teach is naturally no problem, not to mention. Teach's real blacken is because his mother and sister are dead, and now, his sister is still here, then of course there is no problem. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Strength. Status. When Teach doesn't care about all aspects, Noli's all he needs now is family affection, as long as his sister is still alive. Snapped. Snapped. Walking on the road step by step, Alan said casually, it looks like this. It's probably like this, it really makes me feel bored. How is your material procurement? Uncle, it's already been prepared. Uncle, who are these people? This is your younger brother and sister, by the way. Let Sachi prepare food for these 3 little guys, really. They are all skin and bones. Uncle, we got it. 35. Let's go. I left with the 3 Teach brothers and sisters, and the 3 Teach brothers and sisters were also very happy. Everyone was smiling. They felt family affection, or in other words, feeling family affection again. This is really enough for them. Asterisk hash. For them, it is the most important thing. Apart from this, everything else is not particularly important, as long as they can feel the family affection. Brother. The third one. Alan turned his head and saw that Kaido was holding a baby, and the baby was a murloc, and Kaido said carelessly, Big brother. This is me finding a kid who was being sold, it is a murloc so I just bought it. The name is Jack. 66.99. Alan was stunned. This is the billionaire ship king in the original book. No matter who it is. It's the ship king who dares to rush up directly. But now he's just a kid. Really? Alan shook his head calmly, but didn't say anything, these things. There's no need to say more, it's not a big deal anyway. Woo, quality. Breathing out a puff of smoke, Alan looked very calm, quietly thinking about something. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. 6th update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 229. The remnants of the Rocks pirate gathered again. Edward Teach. Edward Jack. Although it was said that for the Whitebeard Pirates, this time was just a casual rest on the shore, but the harvest this time was very huge, at least, for the harvest at this moment, it was indeed exceptionally huge. Don't look at Jack being called the king of the ship, what kind of title is there? $1 billion reward of 900 million ivory, in fact. Jack is not weak at all, even to say, Jack's strength is beyond doubt, there is no doubt at all, or there is no problem at all. To know, Jack in the original book is one of the 3 cadres of the Beast's pirates. As one of the 3 major disasters and one of the 3 major Kanban, Jack's strength will be very weak. Stop making trouble. This is just like a joke, if it is Jack's if the strength is really weak. It's like a joke, and it is because of this that Jack's weakness is only relative, because Jack is a reckless man, so the strength displayed by him is very weak. Otherwise, do you think that in the Beast's Pirates where the strong eats the weak and the strong respects the strong, do you think Jack can sit firmly on the big board? Do you think this is possible? Obviously, this is impossible. To put it bluntly, Jack's weakness is only relative. He is also one of the top powerhouses on this ocean, but he is too weak in the face of many top powerhouses. Because of this, it is the incomparable weakness that sets off Jack. This is also a very normal thing, after all. Above this sea, there are a lot of top-level powerhouses, and Jack seems to be not afraid of seeing people. It's a guy who is directly facing the front. If there is no problem with such a guy, there will be problems. The overall problem. This is probably the situation, there is absolutely no doubt about it, Jack's strength is still strong enough, but the opponent is too strong, as for everyone other than Jack. Hehe. That's even more needless to say. Teach's aptitude is there. Don't say whether Teach is a guy full of ambition, that is another matter, but Teach's aptitude and strength are absolutely beyond doubt, after all. That is the existence of the 4 emperors who have grown into the top of the sea. In the entire Whitebeard Pirates, there are actually very few people who can compare with you in terms of strength. In fact, it is not worth mentioning at all. For example, probably, the only people who can compare with Teach are Carmenio and Bullet. Besides, if others want to compare with Teach, there is still a gap in pure aptitude, or say, there is one other person, and that is Oz. 950 ounces also has a talent that is better than Teach. Can only say, the Whitebeard Pirates have a lot of potential to become Admiral, Marco, Abel, Carmenio, Bullet, Little Oz, Tiger, Guion, these 7 people have the possibility of being called Admiral. But, to say that among these 7 people, there are actually quite a few people with the strongest potential. The first is Gamenio, Bullet, then Little Oz, and finally Teach, who just joined the Whitebeard Pirates. The talents of these 4 people qualification. Potential. There is absolutely no doubt about all aspects. No joke, the potential of the four of them is beyond doubt. Therefore, the harvest of this random docking and resting can be said to be huge. As for Teach's ambition, or that sentence, if even a mere kid's ambition can't be contained, then Alan might as well just die like this, then what's the point of being alive? For that, Alan has a proud posture, there is absolutely no doubt about it. Woo. A puff of smoke came out, and Alan was thinking about something. After thinking for a while, he said, "Second, third, how's the situation on Shiki's side? According to the character of that guy's troubles in Atom Kingdom again and again, this time, I'm afraid you will be fully prepared." Hearing Alan's words, Newgate nodded and said, "Brother Shiki, this guy is quite prepared. This time, it's not just the alliance of the few of us, but also the crazy woman Linlin. I heard. I still found Baloric, but whether or not Baloric will agree, then it is hard to say." Baloric. 35. Alan didn't expect that Shiki also found Baloric's head, but after thinking for a while, he calmly said, "There are no surprises or strangeness. According to Shiki's character, this is not a problem. It's really not a strange thing, and Baloric will agree with it if there is no accident." Ha ha ha. As he spoke, Alan couldn't help laughing, the corners of his mouth twitched, and he said interestingly, "This is really interesting. What will happen next? It's too interesting. What will the next war in Atom's Kingdom be like?" He. Alan finds it more and more interesting. This is not a joke, but a real fact. You know, the situation in front of you is a very interesting situation. What is the next result? In fact, it is self-evident things are up. Search. Licking the corners of his mouth slightly, Alan really found it very interesting. Shiki, this guy actually brought together all the remnants of the rocks once again, and under Shiki's actions, what happened next? What is it? It's a very interesting thing. After all, above this sea, although it is said that almost 10 years have passed, but it is only 10 years. Next, after these 10 years, many old people are still not dead. And with the passage of time, what will be the next result? There is no doubt about it. Many people know what happened to Rock's pirate. Because of this, these people will have some new ideas, after all. No one knows if the former Rock's pirate will be resurrected again, if so Rock's pirate is really resurrected again, so for this world, for this sea, it is a very interesting thing. Interesting. 35. Alan looked into the distance interestingly, the light in his eyes was extremely terrifying, like a ferocious ghost, and murmured, "Everything that follows really makes me feel more and more interesting. Just right, let me see, what will happen next, and what will the future of this sea look like? The future of Rock's pirate is going to be very interesting. Because, no one knows, what will happen next, maybe. For some people, it is nothing at all, but for others, the everything that comes down is completely different, and it will even cause the entire sea to collapse completely. 10 years have passed. For the world government, naval headquarters, and other major forces, they don't want to see Rock's pirate appear again. For them, Rock's pirate is so small, it is the best thing ever. Just go away, don't reappear, that's the most important thing. And, if Rock's pirate really reappears, it will be a very troublesome thing for them. After all, although it has been 10 years, don't think that Rock's pirate has collapsed, on the contrary. If the current 9 monsters reformed Rock's pirate, it would be even more terrifying. Because, such a result that is, the strength of Rock's pirate will become more terrifying. If so, what will be the next result? In fact, it is self-evident, and because of this, the whole sea is very dignified. For this sea, although it has been so long, but for the horror of the whole Rock's pirate, it has never let down its vigilance. This is true for everyone, they know very well that the Rock's pirate's terrible. The horror of Rock's pirate. Because of this, they dare not let their guard down, let alone have any carelessness. Woo. Alan exhaled a puff of smoke, then continued. Second, third, we set sail. Next, I think it is very interesting about what will happen next, but I want to see, what will happen next. 99. A cruel smile emerged. Now that these monsters have continued to gather together, what will be the impact on the world? This is the most interesting thing. Because, a careless one but things will really happen, and it is even said that this sea will become more and more interesting. Sail. 35. No problem. Newgate and Kaido were naturally very calm, and with the roar of the two brothers, the entire Whitebeard Pirates began to get busy. Wow. As the waves rolled, the Moby Dick had already started sailing, and then gradually sailed towards the distance. The speed was not fast, but it gave people a very mysterious feeling, making the whole world very I'm so curious, what will the result be next? No one knows what the result will be for the Whitebeard Pirates. Or, for this sea, what will be the next result? This is the thing that makes everyone fall into silence. It is the thing that makes everyone look solemn, they really dare not to have any intentions. With the confused voice, the two very young girls opened their eyes in a daze, and their first reaction was to observe the surroundings, but found that this was a very luxurious room, and they have survived. Elsa, Lisa, 35. You are awake. 39. Great, great. Teach has been sitting on the side all the time. He saw that his two younger sisters finally woke up. The whole person seemed to be crazy. Tears fell directly. The whole person looked extremely ugly, and he was like it's about to collapse. Number 77. Humph. With this last voice, Teach's eyes turned white and he passed out. The whole person's face can be said to be extremely ugly. It can be said, it's not a joke. Teach has reached a limit, this really is not any joke. His mind has always been on his sister. He hopes that his sister can live, and he really hopes that his sister can live. And now, his sister is finally alive, which is very important for Teach. It was too much to excite himself. Big Brother. 35. Big Brother. 95. The two sisters, Aisha and Lisa, widened their eyes in shock. The two sisters were full of disbelief. They couldn't imagine that their brother had passed out and jumped down in a hurry. But the health of the two sisters was also very bad, and they just fell to the ground. Exclamation mark. At this time, the door of the room was opened. Guillaume walked in, looked at the situation in the room, shook his head helplessly and said, "Really? You two little girls, don't worry, your brother is just I haven't rested for a long time, so it's just passed out, not a big problem." Yes, years. Joes also walked in, picked Teach up directly, put it on the bed beside him, and said with a smile, "You two also have to eat well, Dad is looking forward to your growth. You were brought back by the uncle, brother and sister." Are we? Aisha and Lisa were both very at a loss, as if they didn't understand what happened, and Joe scratched his head, looked at Guillaume, and said, "Sister Guillaume. You can explain it. You know, I'm really not good at this, and I'm not particularly suitable." "It is good." Guillaume nodded and began to explain to the two sisters what happened, and with Guillaume's explanation, the two sisters gradually understood. They looked at their brother, full of excitement, that they were really alive. Calm down. Seriously, the two sisters are very sensible, and precisely because of their sensibleness, the two sisters know that their own life is almost certain to die, and it is almost impossible for them to survive. Things are up. But the two sisters really survived, which is very unbelievable for them, but no matter what, it turns out that they did. And another point is that they actually have a family again. For these two children, this is something that makes them more or less unbelievable. Obviously, they never expected such a result. For these two children, they have lost their family members since they were very young, and they have always been dependent on their elder brothers, and their health has always been bad. They know that their bodies almost change with time. Moving is a sure thing. Result: over time, they survived, and once again, they have their own family, which is something they never imagined at all. Again, this is a great thing for them. Well, in other words, this is also a good thing. Aisha, who was her elder sister, looked at Guillaume carefully and said, "That Guillaume, elder sister, do we have a family of our own once again?" He. Listening to Elsa's words, Guillaume smiled gently. "Of course. This is your family. For us, or for anyone, we are family. As long as we join Whitebeard Children Pirates, we are already a family. This is something that will never change." 5. The two little guys nodded earnestly. The tears from the corners of their eyes had already dripped down. They were just children. Just like the moment Teach joined the Whitebeard Pirates in the original book, he had nothing to lose. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. First update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 230. The remnants gather. The world is watching. Teach, Elsa, Lisa, the three brothers and sisters joined the Whitebeard Pirates and became a member of the Whitebeard Pirates. As for Jack, well, it's just a kid, a little brat. If that's the case, it's the same to throw it aside. It's not a big problem, anyway. Yamato and Black Maria are all little guys, and they are slowly growing with time. Wow. As the waves churned, the Moby Dick gradually sailed on the sea. As time went by, it seemed to have gradually disappeared on the sea, making people feel at a loss, not knowing what was going on, what happened. It's really scary. Where do these monsters from the Whitebeard Pirates want to go? Fool. Is this a terrible problem for the Whitebeard Pirates? One pirate made a sigh of relief, while the other pirate shook his head and said, "This is not a problem of the Whitebeard Pirates at all. Although the strength of the Whitebeard Pirates is terrifying, it is not the absolute core. The problem that is about to happen next." 35. What's going on? The rookie pirate seems to be very at a loss, not understanding what the old pirate means, but looking around, the old pirate confirms that there is no one around, and then whispers, "You are still honest. A little is better. Some things are not what you should guide down. Knowing too much is not a good thing for you." This rookie pirate is very confused. The more he says this, the more curious he becomes. He has absolutely no idea what happened, let alone what is going on. And this old pirate is very clearly, actually. It's not the Whitebeard Pirates who are dangerous at all, they are equally unparalleled terror. But they are only part of it, and what really makes people feel terrified is the reappearance of Rock's pirate. If this behemoth, this unparalleled monster really appeared, what would the next result be? Actually, just think about it a little and you will know what the next result will be. So, things will become very troublesome. If it is really the resurrection of Rock's pirate, then the changes brought to this sea, or rather, the impact of this sea is almost the most terrible thing. Now that these lunatics are gathered together, what will happen next? This is the most terrifying thing. No one can imagine what the next result will be, or rather, what will happen next? What does it look like? This is a very important thing. It's really troublesome. Shaking their heads with emotion, these people all know what Rock's pirate is all about, and because of this, they feel the endless fear. It is the real fear from the heart, from the soul. It's too scary. What is the next result? Everyone is very curious, too. This is also a very scary thing. Nobody knows what will happen next, but one thing is for sure. If you don't have the slightest fear, or if you don't have any fear, then the price you need to pay is the most terrible. Isn't it? Hee. They are all very clear. Next. Can only pray that the Rock's pirate will not really be resurrected. This is not something they can stop, nor is it something they are qualified to stop. Honestly and quietly watching all this, it's the best result. Countless people let out a sigh. They all endured all this silently, and they could only feel the endless despair. For each of them, this feeling is too much to make people feel endless despair. The Rock's pirate, who once ruled the whole world and stepped on the whole world under its feet, just think about it, all people feel is endless fear. This is the most terrifying. This is the most terrifying thing ever. Everyone raised their heads silently, and they all had different ideas in their hearts. At this moment, everyone was thinking, if such a thing really happened next, then the result would be how will it be? Actually, this is self-evident. They fell into silence, didn't know what to say, and kept an endless silence. No one knew what the next result would be. Wow. The Moby Dick sailed on the sea. The speed is not fast, but very fast. An isolated island has already emerged in front of the eyes. Alan is standing on the head of the whale, the captain's coat behind him, along with the gale has begun to crashing, and Alan's breath was terrifying. The corner of Alan's mouth grinned, and a terrifying light emerged, and he said savagely, but it really makes people feel interesting. This guy Shaki put his position in this place. Is he really afraid that other people won't know? Seriously, if it's to prevent other people from knowing about the gathering of these guys, then it's better to hide it honestly. As a result, Shaki did something completely different, although he didn't put it on any big island, but it is also placed on an upright island. This is a very interesting thing. What will be the next result? This is very interesting. No one knows. Next. What will happen next, and for the gathering of these guys? The whole sea is very curious. Almost everyone is very curious. Pick up the result is what will happen. This is the most interesting thing. Hee. An interesting smile appeared, and Alan said interestingly, I can only say that things are really getting more and more interesting, but I really think it is very interesting. Alan really finds it very interesting, and what will the next result be? For this sea, what choices will these people make, and what will happen next? That's the funniest thing, and the funniest thing, isn't it? Goo la la la. Newgate laughed arrogantly. Brother, I think that Shaki is doing it on purpose, just to let the world see it. If you have the ability, you can come here with integrity. Then it's better to roll away for Laozi. 35. Raising his eyebrows, Alan seemed to be thinking about something, and shook his head with a smile. Indeed. According to Shiki's character, it's not a strange thing to do such a thing, but it doesn't matter. Laozi is very interested in what happens next. What will the next result be? A cruel smile emerged, but Alan felt that the next thing was more and more interesting. After all, you are targeting one of the world's top superpowers, and the strength of Adam's kingdom is extremely terrifying. No one I know what kind of power Adam Kingdom possesses, but one thing is certain, this is an unparalleled monster, and for such a monster, you don't have to think about it, you know. Next. What will be the result? It will be very scary, even to say. It will be scary to an ultimate that makes people feel endlessly terrified. You must admit it, this is. Wow. The Moby Dick gradually landed, and the three brothers Alan, Newgate, and Kaido also landed on the island very indifferently. Like fluctuations, he never took all of this into consideration. Soon, the three brothers walked to the center of the isolated island and looked at the prepared banquet. The three of them sat down in their own seats without any hesitation, just quietly waiting for the arrival of the others. The next result would be, what could it be? This is the most interesting thing. If you count the time, the others are probably about the same time. Brother, do you think the guys above the sea can see this action against Adam Kingdom this time? Newgate pondered about it. After all, this time, Rock's pirate can be said to have nothing to hide, just a look, we are above board, which is very interesting. Because, no one knows, will they actually come together, and what will be the result? This is the most important thing, isn't it? Obviously. For such a result, it is absolutely and extremely important, even to say. A thing that needs careful attention. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Kaido thought about this. Second brother, I don't think it's possible, after all. Although almost everyone knows about our actions. But knowing is knowing, But just by virtue of this, we want master all of this is almost impossible. Raising his eyebrows, Newgate thought about it for a while and nodded. That's true. It's almost impossible to be a complete master in this matter. However, it doesn't matter. Indeed. 35. Alan shrugged and said casually. No matter what the outcome is, it's actually a meaningless thing. Even if everything is prepared, in essence it's all meaningless. This is something that has no meaning at all. Laozi doesn't care about these things at all. 0. Katakana middle dot for flowers katakana middle dot. Alan is filled with endless calm. This is not a joke. It is the real fact that these things are really nothing to me, after all. These things are just little things, no matter what will happen next how, actually. It's all meaningless. Don't say you don't know, even if you know, what will the result be? Obviously. As long as you are not an idiot, you will be very clear about what the next result will be, because you can't stop it at all. Want to stop it? Sure. Then you just stand on the opposite side of Laozi. Besides, do you want to stop it? Stop making trouble. It is like a dream. It is absolutely impossible to stop it with such power. Matter. But, Alan said casually, I think the most interesting thing is, how will these people react next? After all, these guys are very interesting, and what will these people do? What's the result? Alan finds this very interesting, Sengoku. Roger. And the others above the sea, it's impossible not to know about this, and because of that. What will they do next? This is the most interesting thing. If what they do is very meaningless, it is meaningless. But if what they do is really important if things happen, that is also a very interesting thing, so say. What will the next result be? Point 0. This is the most interesting thing. Alan is really looking forward to this, but wants to see what these people can do and what they can do. After all, for this world, no matter who it is, they really don't want Rock's pirate to appear again. This terrifying pirate group is the most terrifying thing, and facing this terrifying pirate group, then what will be the result? In fact, it is self-evident. Snapped. Just as the three brothers were discussing at random, a footstep sounded faintly, and the person who came was like an elegant nobleman, holding a bat cane, looking around indifferently, after seeing the three Edward brothers. Said calmly, Alan, Newgate, Kaido, long time no see. Long time no see. Baloric. Alan narrowed his eyes and looked at the person in front of him, and a cruel smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. This is really interesting. I saw this guy again, seriously. For Baloric will be involved in this matter, I don't think it's strange. It's really not a strange thing. Baloric is extremely powerful, and Baloric has his own special ideas, and even has his own special thinking mode, and that's why. It is very important, and it is very clear what the next result will be. Under such circumstances, Baloric is very clear about these considerations, and what will be the result next. In fact, it is self-evident. He. Baloric smiled lightly. Alan. It's been a long time indeed, we meet again, I'm really looking forward to fighting with you. 99. 35. Listening to Baloric's words, Alan said casually, back then, when you faced the treasure of Captain Rocks, you turned around and left, which was quite boring. Quote. Well, Baloric said casually, at that time, it was not a suitable time to fight, at least. For me, there were other things at that time, but it is different now. So, Alan squinted slightly and looked at Baloric, but the corners of his mouth grinned, and he said interestingly, let's put this battle after the affairs of the Kingdom of Adam, I also want to see how strong you are. How is it? It is good. Baloric just thought about it for a while, and then nodded indifferently. This matter, then this is settled, the battle between these two lunatics will not end like this. They are very clear that for these two lunatics for example, the next battle will become more and more crazy, and it will become more and more terrifying. No one knows what these two terrifying guys will do. This is the most important thing. Terrible thing. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. Second update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 231. The Solemnity of the World. Everyone's attention. Snapped. When Alan and Baloric were talking, a figure walked in with the sound of slow footsteps. He swept over everyone one by one, and sat down in his own seat, then randomly. Alan. Baloric. Have we not seen each other for a long time? Both Alan and Baloric were slightly stunned when they looked at this person, and the Newgate and Kaido brothers couldn't help but blink their eyes and felt like a ghost. You know, this time Shiki contacted people or more of Rock's pirate people, of course. It's not that Shiki is just someone who likes to contact Rock's pirate, but that everyone else is basically a hostile relationship, and in this case, it's natural to be more or less the same. That's it. Only. Burndy World. How did this man appear here? This man is called World Destroyer, and he is also one of the top powerhouses above the sea. It is very interesting that he appears here at this moment. He chose to participate in this chaotic war. Oh who? Alan raised the corner of his mouth interestingly, and said with a funny smile, it's kind of interesting to look at it this way. Burndy, You are actually invited by Shiki. I am more and more curious now. Shiki, this guys, how many people did you invite? Ha ha ha. Berndi laughed loudly. Who knows? I don't know how many people Shiki has invited, but I am very interested in this time, Atom Kingdom. This country is very interesting. I would like to see what this so-called superpower actually is like. A terrifying light flashed in his eyes, it is undeniable. Berndi has already prepared for 953, but there is an absolutely terrifying light in his eyes, but he has already been prepared. That's right. The people Shiki invited and cooperated with were not only the remnants of the Rocks Pirate, but also invited other people, and Shiki invited the people of Rocks Pirate openly or just on the surface, but the invitation of Berndi and others only, it was done in secret, after all. If everyone was an open invitation, the current situation would be very embarrassing. I am afraid. The whole world will go crazy in an instant. It's just the gathering of Rocks Pirate, if it is enough to make all the major forces above the sea dignified enough. Then at this moment, it is even more terrifying. Everyone, it is all felt. The atmosphere seems to be not quite right, which makes people feel endlessly terrified. After all, when these monsters are gathered together, what will be the result? In fact, after a little thought, you already know that these monsters are gathered together, which will only be more terrifying. Ha ha ha. Berndi laughed casually and said, it doesn't matter. I'm only more interested in the next thing, but I want to see, what will the next result be? Berndi thinks it is very interesting. For him, he is a crazy guy. He is not interested in everything else. He just wants to see what the pirates will do next. No problem. 35. Alan nodded casually and said, it's not a big deal anyway, now. I'm even more interested. How many people did Shiki invite? If more and more people gather here, it is estimated that the whole world will be more and more afraid. Ha ha ha, ooh. Worororo. Listening to Alan's words, and everyone couldn't help laughing, yeah. If these guys were gathered together more, the world would be full of fear for them. After all, union this thing, when the first union, then the next. There will be a second union, even a third union, and maybe in the end, it will be completely together. These things are all, there is a very high possibility. If it really reaches that level, it is simply unacceptable to these people. Right now, everyone watching the situation on the entire island fell into silence. 6699. Everyone in the whole world is silent at this moment. They don't know what to say more appropriate. For them, such a result is completely unthinkable, and even said, it is simply a matter of boring imagination. Is that the Berndi Pirates? What? World Destroyer. Berndi World. What? How is it possible? How can this man be here? Shouldn't this be the gathering of the remnants of the Rocks Pirate? And what does this guy mean here? This bastard. Damn. Okay, calm down. This matter needs other people to discuss, and everyone needs to discuss. This is not something that one person or two people can handle. If you are not vigilant, then the price you pay is the price of life. Be vigilant. This is the most important thing. Absolutely can't have any responsibility. What's the point? 35. This is an extremely solemn matter. No one has ever thought, no one could have imagined that such a result would be, and that these people would gather here. This is something that no one can imagine. What will happen next? Obviously, this is a very scary thing. No one knows who will continue to come next, and if there are more and more people. Such a situation below, things are getting more and more troublesome. Snapped. Mr. Sengoku. I see. Sengoku looked at the information in front of him and his face was very ugly, even abnormally ugly. He looked very indifferent. He never thought that this would be the case. He narrowed his eyes slightly, really very indifferent. 66.99. Garp put his hands around his chest, and his eyes were full of dignified expressions, obviously. Garp could also see that things were different, or rather, things were getting more and more dangerous. What will the impact be? This is something that is simply unimaginable. If it is really the same as what you and others imagined, the following results will become more and more chaotic. That may be the real danger, even to say. The next result will be makes you feel terribly terrified. Woo. He let out a deep breath, and everyone's eyes were very ugly. I didn't expect this to happen, especially Sengoku. He was really heavy, and he said softly, what do you think? Crane shook his head and said, their alliance has a purpose, but no one knows what their purpose is. The Rocks Pirate used to be a gathering place for a group of lunatics, if what they did was crazy enough, can attract them, but this man Berndi is different, he is not a lunatic, in other words. No, since he also chooses to participate in it, it means that he has huge interests. In this case, I think the possibility of red line is very high. 66. To the power of 9 to the power of 9. Listening to Crane's explanation, everyone present looked very solemn, because it is undeniable that the possibility of shooting against red line is really very high. Even extremely high. This is really not a joke, but the real facts. No one knows what their purpose is, or even to say. For what's to come next, I'm afraid. It's going to be extremely troublesome, after all. If that's the case, then the thing is it's really getting harder and harder to handle. After all, guys like Berndi, the guys who pursue the interests are all involved. If other people are also involved, what will the result be? Obviously. There is no doubt about it. Next, it will be more and more troublesome, even it's getting more and more headaches. These lunatics. It's really a headache. 35. With a silent helpless sigh, Sengoku also felt that he was fundamentally powerless. It is undeniable that there are too many monsters in New World. They are all terrifying monsters, and their strength is extremely powerful, and there are so many terrifying monsters. Monsters, if this battle continues without exception, the result will be. How will it be? Obviously. There is no doubt about it, after all. When they continue, then. The next result, but it is very troublesome, it must be admitted, and. It is absolutely undeniable, after all. So many monsters come together. It's the same sentence. For the major forces, they can also be united, but what they fear is not that they are united, but that there is a trend. If there is one, there will be a second time, the third time, the fourth time, and the future. If they have any problems, will they be united? Get up. The odds are very high. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Sighing again, Sengoku also recovered his energy, and said with a serious expression, no matter what. We still have to be vigilant in the next situation, this is absolutely not to let down our vigilance, otherwise. That would be an extremely troublesome thing. Things are up. It is good. Listening to Sengoku's words, everyone nodded earnestly. They are all very solemn viewers of the island in front of them. Everyone is very clear and can't have any carelessness. This is really not a joke, but even a little bit of carelessness, then the price to be paid next is something that no one can imagine. Everyone is squinting, everyone is thinking about many questions, and everyone is thinking about what the next situation will be. This is an extremely important thing, and for several people on the island, it's very calm, they don't care at all. Snapped. In this splendid room, it was the 5 elders who gathered here, and at this moment, the 5 elders looked at the image phone bug in front of him and thought sharply, if this is the case, it is an extremely troublesome thing. The thing, with the remnants of the once rocks pirate, finally. If united with the rest of the sea. Man, then it's really troublesome. 99. 35. Everyone was talking about this issue, but the blonde 5 elders thought for a while, and then said calmly, although it is. It is indeed very troublesome from our current point of view, but it will be fine as long as it is dealt with a little, this is nothing. Big problem. 35. Obviously. In the eyes of the blonde 5 elders, even if the other party has united, it is still nothing, it is just some small things, and that's why. Actually, it's not surprising that the 5 elders have such an idea, or that sentence. Even the Rocks pirate in its heyday, the 5 elders are not in the eyes of the 5 elders, in the eyes of the 5 elders, are you strong? Probably. But that's what happened. As a behemoth that has ruled the world for 800 years, there is no doubt about its strength. Yes, your strength is very strong. But that's what it is. It doesn't mean that it has really reached an incomparable level. The long-haired 5 elders thought for a while, and then said, if that's the case, it's fine to deal with this matter a little bit, it's not a big deal. However, if you continue to let it go, it's also a troublesome thing, after all. The gathering of these people will also cause big problems in the future. It is undeniable that it is. Yes, this matter is best dealt with. The 5 elders are discussing this issue with each other, and for them, each of them is very much in favor of this matter. It is better to deal with such a result, otherwise. The next question is casual. The problem. It's a very easy thing to deal with, for the 5 elders. It really doesn't matter at all. Quote. The curly-haired 5 elders pondered a little. They are nothing, but. If the world government takes action like this, then the problem is that all the major forces in the world will join forces. If this is the case, it will affect our rule very inappropriate, it's a hassle. For the 5 elders, this matter is the most important thing. The world government has terrifying power, but in the face of the joint efforts of the whole world, there is still not enough power. Otherwise, they can completely rule the whole world. Therefore, if the world government were to solve this alliance so easily, the trouble would be whether these people would unite. If so, it would be very troublesome and a headache. But, after a little thought, the curly-haired 5 elders suddenly said, as for the kingdom of Adam, the news that the old guy has recovered, you already know. Listening to the words of the curly-haired 5 elders, the others also nodded. Of course, they are clear about the news. Others don't know the specific situation of Adam's kingdom, but don't they still know? That's simply impossible. A few of them are very clear, even said, unusually clear, how to deal with this matter. The bald 5 elders suddenly said, if that's the case, I think it's quite interesting. If their purpose is unclear, then let us guess, who is the other party's purpose? What if Adam Kingdom? Oh, listening to the words of the bald 5 elders, the other 4 all showed a smile, which is true. If it is aimed at the kingdom of Adam, then this matter seems to be a good plan. For the 5 elders, in other words, it is not a big deal for one party to be strong, because no matter how powerful you are, you can't compare with the world government. But if only the balance could be maintained. This is the most important thing. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. Third update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 232. Set sail. Target Atom Kingdom. Balance. This is the best way for the five elders to rule the world. For the five elders, the world is not powerful, but it is very powerful. It is undeniable that the world government has the most powerful strength in the world, but it is definitely not invincible strength. Because, when everyone else is united, the power of the world government is not so invincible. But no matter what, this is not the most important thing. For the five elders, they are naturally know this, can. Over time, the five elders control the world, and the way to maintain it is through balance. This is the way of the five elders, West Blue's Land of Flowers and the five Mafia families, North Blue's Vinsmoke family, New World's Alabasta, and more. It's all like this, all great power is being maintained balance, and Rock's Pirate is one of the very few that is beyond balance. But, in the eyes of the five elders, that's all, it doesn't really need to be in the eyes, their strength is just like that. It's not a great power, that's why. The five elders don't take it seriously at all, and now, with the gathering of these pirates, although the five elders are thinking, but they are not particularly concerned, are that sentence. In the face of absolute strength, these so-called ideas are completely meaningless things. The two sides are not rivals of the same level at all, in that case. Then there is no comparison at all, and the five elders are naturally very clear about this, just. They are very much about the awakening of the old monster in Atom Kingdom, dignified. After all, this is an old monster that has been around for an unknown number of years, and you can't be careless about such an old monster. A little carelessness, perhaps the price you need to pay is the price of your life, and that is the most terrifying, and the most terrifying the price, because of this, is the most troublesome thing. It's just, if the target of these pirates is precisely this Atom Kingdom, then for the five elders, this is a very interesting thing. The benefits of such a Tao are too great. Of course, the five elders, who originally planned to take action, temporarily let go of this idea after thinking about it. There is no need for it, or in other words. In all aspects, five elders carefully analyzed these many problems, and finally determined that there is no problem, and since this is the case. Naturally, there is no need to be nervous, and there is no need to pay special attention. If the alliance and gathering of these pirates is the kingdom of Atom, then don't care, if not. Well, the five elders will take care of this matter, and for the five elders, these are nothing, or say. This is an extremely simple matter, and it is not a big problem. It is not an exaggeration to call it completely unnecessary. This is the most important fundamental core. For the five elders, they don't care at all. Island. At this moment, and with the arrival of Burndy, Alan, Newgate, Kaido, Baloric and others are also interested, and they are interested in the next. Who is Shiki continuing to invite, but it is very interesting, after all if there are enough people next, it will be a completely different thing for this sea. Snapped. Mom. Following the familiar laughter, Linlin strode forward and said boldly, it seems like it's time for me. But, Burndy, you're here too, Shiki, look. I've invited a lot of people I don't know about. Linlin's smile is very strong, especially after seeing Burndy, but it's even more interesting. I really didn't expect it. It would be because of such a situation, and the arrival of the other party, it would be like this, really it's getting more and more interesting. Looking at this scene, Linlin didn't expect it. Actually. Linlin's original idea was also the same. In Linlin's opinion, Shiki should invite all the people from the Rock's pirate remnants, and no invitations to others at all. If this is the case, then the problem is naturally different, or in other words. The situation is completely it's different. However, what I never expected was that the guy Burndy appeared among the people invited by Shiki, which was interesting. Burndy smiled lightly, I'm just more interested in the person who started this time. Everything else, sorry, I'm not particularly interested. 35. It doesn't matter, just keep waiting. Sitting in his seat, Alan casually opened a bottle of fine wine. While tasting the fine wine, he said interestingly, Linlin, how many people are there outside the island? Linlin thought for a while and said, I don't know. However, I can be sure that the number of gatherings outside the island can be said to be very large, even reaching an extremely amazing level, which is very interesting. Thing. Well, it's not a strange thing. After all, for these guys, the pressure brought by our gathering is still very huge. 35. Alan feels very indifferent, this is not a big problem at all, or rather. The gathering of these guys, if it was the gathering of the original Rock's pirate remnants, is enough to make people feel scared, and because of this it is the most terrifying thing. Not kidding. Or, for everyone, this is the most terrifying thing, and this is the most terrifying thing, they definitely never thought of it. And now, there are other people who have participated in this gathering again. But it's a horrible thing. No one knows. These people who are suddenly involved, what do they represent, and for this sea, what does it represent next? This is an extremely important thing. Because of this, Alan is very clear about it, if there is no accident. For these guys, they are absolutely ready, if the purpose of these people's gathering is really if it is very special, then it is self-evident. But, Gia ha 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 ha. At this moment, with the familiar loud laughter, and Shiki fell from the sky, which also interrupted Linlin's words. Shiki floated and fell, the corners of his mouth grinned, and he said hideously, everyone. It's all already here. Shiki, you bastards are coming very slowly. Yes. Humph. Everyone's mouth Kakuzu evoked a sarcastic smile. Everyone was bored and looked at Shiki, but I didn't expect that Shiki came so slowly. It really makes people feel very boring. That's it. Jia ha 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 ha. Shiki laughed loudly and said, I just invited some other people. Exactly, aren't those guys very nervous? Then I will make them more nervous. Humph. Alan raised his mouth, looked at Shiki casually, raised his legs, and said interestingly, Shiki, what do you think? According to the current situation outside, when we guys set sail, will they attack us directly? Oh. The corners of Shiki's mouth grinned, and he said savagely, for this statement. I think it's quite interesting. I also want to see what the next result will be. If these guys have the ability, then come here. Well, let Laozi see their abilities, but don't just talk arrogantly. Shiki is full of absolutely proud gestures, and these are all attitudes that are not taken seriously at all, no joke. Shiki does not take these in his eyes at all, his eyes are full of absolutely proud gestures, even more so everything is not taken into account at all. Humph. The corners of Alan's mouth twitched, and he said interestingly, I am very satisfied with this idea. If they have an idea, then let's try it out and see how strong we guys are. Yes, that's right. Everyone's mouth Kakuzu grinned, and Berndi said cruelly, a group of garbage. That is to say, they dare to spy on our actions in the dark. If such a guy really dares to take the lead, I will punch one at a time. Just kill these guys. 5. Goo la la la. Newgate laughed proudly. Brother. Don't you think this kind of thing is very interesting? The next result. But it's very interesting. Obviously. Although it has only been slightly changed, for Newgate, it means that the decadent heart of the past few years has been completely released. Now Newgate has an extremely terrifying heart, and he is very concerned about everything else. It's an attitude of not caring at all, and that's the scariest thing, isn't it? Or, that's the best thing. Because for Newgate, everything has been released. And once ambition is also back again. There was a terrifying light in Newgate's eyes, as if he didn't care about all of this. Worororo. Kaido also laughed proudly and said, Big brother. Second brother. Isn't this a matter of course? A bunch of garbage. If we are so vigilant about these garbage, then we guys might as well just die, maybe that will happen. Better. Ha ha ha. All of them are laughing, all are very excited and excited, that's all for them. Snapped, snapped, snapped. At this moment, along with the sound of footsteps, the three figures came out step by step. The people who came were Akoku, John, and Silver Axe. Akoku looked around and said casually, everyone is still didn't it arrive. Really? It's really slow enough. Akoku walked step by step and sat down in his own seat, but the words have proved that there are other people, and who is this person? This is the most important thing. Humph. The corners of Akoku's mouth grinned, and he said grimly, I'm also very interested in what's going on next. It's just that I want to see what happens next. Do you think that people outside will do it? What are the options? What kind of options? Silver Axe said boringly, that's just a bunch of rubbish. Do you still need to pay attention to those rubbish? According to the character of those rubbish, they won't shoot. They are just a bunch of rubbish. They are all a group as long as they don't fall, and there is a group of people who will never take action on their own body. Just such a guy, you simply don't need to pay attention to it. Silver Axe really feels very casual. Pirates are a group of lunatics, to put it bluntly, a group of people who dare to do their best, and these people are ordinary. They are a group of people with other ideas, for these guys saying that desperately is not suitable at all, but to consider so much step by step, for such a person, seriously. When you give up, it is meaningless. Even say. In Silver Axe's eyes, these guys can't even compare to the weak pirates in the New World. The former are daring to fight, while the latter are already a group of guys corrupted by power. They are meaningless at all. That's it. And because of this, Silver Axe doesn't care about the guys like 953 at all, and doesn't take it seriously at all. For these guys, I just don't think it's worth mentioning. He, 99. John said drunkenly and casually, well, isn't this the case with these guys all the time? It's not a strange thing. Don't worry too much about it, it's not a big deal anyway. When these rubbish find out that we are against Adam when the kingdom takes action, they will not react. Indeed it is. Everyone nodded in agreement. Snapped. Snapped. At this moment, with the sound of footsteps, a figure gradually came out, and seeing this figure, many of the crowd showed a look of astonishment. Humph. 35. Zapu walked out step by step, the corners of his mouth twitched and said, everyone, it's really been a long time. Oh, looking at Zap's figure, Alan said interestingly, Zep. To be honest, I never thought that you would be involved in it. For you, this matter seems to be unnecessary at all. Thing. 99. He, Zep said with a smile. Alan, sometimes, when you come to this sea, you always want to take part in it and see. After all, in this magnificent sea, if you don't participate in it, you will be alive. But it's all very boring. Cut. 99. Listening to Jep's words, Alan's mouth twitched, and it was also interesting. You guy is really right. However, I am very curious now, with your arrival, Shaki, did you guy invite Roger? Shaki nodded and said, invited. However, that guy Roger expressed no interest. As for the green pepper, that guy, I just didn't invite. Although green pepper is said to be one of the top pirates, but that guy green pepper is from the land of flowers, and he is a member of the 8 Treasures Navy in the land of flowers. To put it bluntly, that's all. Existence is a problem, and because of this, it is simply impossible to unite with each other. That being the case, then the invitation is meaningless. Alan thought for a while, rubbing his chin and thinking, in that case, let's get ready to set sail. I want to see, that old monster saw so many of us. What will the result be? Yes, everyone showed a hideous smile, for so many years. Of course, these guys are all interested in Atom Kingdom, after all, this is a superpower. As a result, one by one was bullied by Atom Kingdom. This is one of the fundamental reasons why everyone is united. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. 4th update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 233. It's nice to say it. All of them are watching the fun. New World. If it is said that the strength is really the strongest, who is it? Actually, anyone who has been in the New World for a while will know that the strongest player in the New World is the Kingdom of Atom. This is a country of extremely terrifying monsters, and the owner of this country is Invincible. The Flying Sky Pirates, Silver Axe Pirates, Wufang Pirates, John Pirates, Burndy Pirates, Zap Pirates, and many other weak pirates are almost all in the hands of Atom Kingdom. It's a loss. The more serious ones are like the people of the Flying Sky Pirates who have lost almost all of them. It can be said, in terms of pure strength, Atom Kingdom is really terrifying. All right, let's sail. Alan stood up and drank the wine in his hand. A terrifying light appeared in his eyes, filled with endless killing intent. The corners of his mouth opened, and he said cruelly, next. I am looking forward to it very much. What is the next result? What do you think these guys will choose? Or rather, what will they choose in the face of our offense? When Alan made this statement, everyone had a sarcastic smile on the corners of their mouths, and each one was full of endless disdain, while Shaki sarcastically said, those guys will shoot. Stop making trouble, Alan, you still don't know what kind of rubbish those rubbish are. That's a group of people who talk nicely, and everything else is meaningless. With a look of disdain, Shaki is really full of disdain for this point, and he has never put the other party in his eyes. Everything is nothing worth mentioning at all. And because of that, next, these guys, although they say it nicely, they must guard against anything, but in fact, according to the characters of these guys, they are more like watching the fun. This is something that is beyond doubt, so I say, no need I care too much, after all those who understand these rubbish situations are very clear about it. Goo la la la. Newgate laughed proudly. Brother. Do you think that according to the characters of these guys, will they be involved in our actions this time? Or, will these rubbish choose to be involved? Seriously, Newgate is very interested. What is the next result? This is the most interesting thing. Isn't it? Or, will these people really choose to participate in it and attack, and that's the most interesting thing. Humph. Burndy put his hands around his chest and said with endless disdain, Newgate, you are just joking. If those rubbish would do such a thing, they would have done it long ago, and it would not have waited until today. This is just a bunch of boring garbage, a bunch of guys who are not worth mentioning at all. Burndy is full of disdain for these guys. Burndy rushed out of the sea as an ordinary person, and because of this, Burndy really doesn't care about these rubbish, even full of endless disdain. It's not worth a picture at all as mentioned. Or, this is also a very normal thing, actually. This is just the attitude of many pirates. Pirates are generally born with mud legs. They are not nobles. They are not royal heirs. Because of this, each of them grows step by step. When you get up, you are all relying on yourself, and it is very normal for these guys above the sea to be full of disdain. This is not a strange problem. This is actually a very normal thing, after all. Strength is here. If there is a problem, it is the strangest thing. So, squinting his eyes, Akoku thought a little. Actually, there is no need to think too much. According to the characters of these guys, it is impossible for them to attack us. According to their identities, if they are to attack us, or when they found out that our target was not them, they were more just watching the fun. 99. Indeed, Silver Axe is also looking into the distance sarcastically. It is really full of endless disdain. Stop making trouble. You expect these guys to carry guns and mount a fight with you? It's like a joke. These guys are a group of them guys. They wouldn't do such a thing. For them, what they like more is to plan everything in secret, whether it is successful or not. This is what they like most. Who? He let out a faint puff of smoke, and Alan said casually, if that's the case, there's no need to waste time. Set sail. Set sail. No problem. It's time to set sail. Everyone has an indifferent look, and a proud smile emerges from the corners of their mouths. Obviously, For these guys, they all have absolute self-confidence, and they are full of proud gestures. Fight. They will never lose. There is no possibility of any defeat at all. Humph. 99. Alan raised the corners of his mouth and said interestingly, it's really exciting. What will the next result be? Ha ha ha. With the laughter of Alan, everyone gradually started to sail, although it is said. No one agrees or what, but it is undeniable. This point, it is still necessary to admit, for them, the next. What was the result? That's the most important thing. Then, the second captain of Rock's pirate is Alan, and apart from Alan, everyone gathers together and naturally needs a person to give orders, and except for Alan, everyone else is actually not suitable for this position. At least, according to their ability is simply not enough for this qualification, and because of this, under such circumstances, Alan is the most suitable candidate. This is the most normal thing to do. 6699. Alan quietly squinted his eyes and looked into the distance, thinking about something in his heart, but no one knew at all, or in other words. No one knew what Alan wanted to do, and the other side. Adam's Kingdom. 35. Humph. There is a terrifying killing intent in his eyes. Shaki is not a dumb person. You have defeated Laozi. Since Laozi is not your opponent, then Laozi will find someone else. If one is not enough, then there are two. That's not enough, then there are only three. I have to see if the strength of this guy is terrifying to an unparalleled level. Bring it on. Just let Lao Su have a look. This is what Shaki thinks, and Akoku, John, Silver Axe each have their own ideas, or so. In the war that is about to break out in the kingdom of Adam, what will happen to them, and this is the most important thing. He let out a deep breath, and Barorik was thinking about something. In fact, he was not particularly interested in what he could get this time. Or rather, this is Barorik's character. For Lorik, such a result is very normal, and he really doesn't really care about it all. Only, don't forget, what Balorik's character expects is a battle. Balorik is very much looking forward to the battle with Alan. As for the victory or defeat of this battle, it doesn't matter at all. I just don't care, I just want to fight. It can be said, Alan et al. Everyone has different ideas, but invariably, everyone is very clear that they want to defeat Adam Kingdom, and it is very normal for them to join forces with each other, and they also have absolute confidence that's it. This is an absolutely undoubted thing, and there is no need to hesitate at all. Wow. With the sound of the surging waves, the pirate ships have already started sailing. With the Moby Dick as the center, they are gradually sailing away into the distance. In the surrounding, in fact, the major forces are already staring at what's about to happen now, but even so, they didn't dare to participate in it at all, and even said that they just dared to watch it, and they didn't pay attention to it at all. 9. He let out a deep breath of turbid air. Everyone's expressions were serious enough, they didn't dare to have any righteousness, and they didn't dare to relax their vigilance at all. The sharpness and solemnity in their eyes were really not a joke thing. They have already set sail. Who is the target? Not sure yet. Damn it. The major forces are secretly watching the departure of these people. For them, seriously, they really come from the heart, from the fear of the soul. This is really beyond doubt, don't doubt it. The strength of the other party is really too strong, and it has become so powerful that it is unparalleled and terrifying. This is really no joke. It's something that really makes people feel terrified. 3. It can be said, for these things, they are really very clear. The strength of the other party is really too strong. Such strength, if there are really no restrictions, then one by one is simply invincible on this sea. Characters. Only, the problem is here. They have to deal with it. If they don't deal with it, what will the next result be? In fact, it is self-evident. Confirmed. The other party's goal is not the Grand Line, but the New World, but for the time being, it is still uncertain, where exactly is their goal in the New World. Listening to the report of the staff, while the others nodded calmly, they all knew very well that the strength of the other party was absolutely unquestionable, of course. This is absolutely not allowed to relax our vigilance, this. Absolutely there is no doubt about it, but any slack, the result may be devastating. Therefore, they can't relax at all, and they can't relax at all, otherwise. Everything is a troublesome thing. They are all staring at everything in front of them, their eyes are sharp, and they are thinking about something in their hearts, and their considerations are very clear. No. What will happen next? Are you going to make a move? No. Someone suggested whether to shoot, but the next moment was directly rejected. Just kidding. This is absolutely impossible, or it is impossible to shoot at all. Don't joke, if you shoot at these people, then the price to pay is too great. Humph. Just like what Alan and others mocked, they say it nicely, but when one by one involves their own interests, they will not be willing to shoot, unless they say it has really reached their eyelids under the hood. At that time, they will shoot, otherwise. According to the characters of these people, it is impossible to shoot. To put it bluntly, for this sea, all this is the most ironic thing, isn't it? Because of this is the most interesting thing. Everyone's expression is abnormally solemn, and they don't want it at all. Participating in it, I don't want what will happen next, this is the most uncomfortable thing. Who? Breathing out a deep breath, each of them continued to observe the battlefield quietly, and even stared at everything in front of them. There is no intention to leave, after all. They are all very clear, if they participate casually among them, or to change all of this, the price to pay is too great. Trouble. What? While watching the situation in front of him, Sengoku rubbed his brows and said, there is no way to participate in it. Just relying on the power of our marines, we are almost certain to lose, and we simply cannot participate in it. For this, Sengoku is really very clear, he can't participate in it at all, and he can't change all this at all, otherwise. The price to be paid is too terrifying. This is something that Marine can't bear at all. In this era, Marine strength is not bad. However, it is not bad. The new generation of Marine has not grown up, before that. Marine cannot participate further. One of them. If Marine continues to suffer huge damage, it will be a real fatal blow for Marine, at least. In Sakazuki, Kuzan, Polsolino, Kaji, Yishao, Aramaki, Shiryu, Magellan, these 8 before a teenager grows up, Nuo Lihao Marine would never participate in such an action if he could not participate. Sengoku pondered carefully, and was also thinking frantically in his heart. What should we do next? This is really not a joke. It really needs to be considered very seriously. Also very troublesome. Trouble. Zephyr stood aside and said solemnly, how do you think things should be handled? Garp nodded calmly, of course he knew the problem, 1,000 words are still the same. Once there is a first time, there will be a second time, but no matter what, this is something that cannot be changed. Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, Crane, who of the 4 of them is not qualified to issue an attack order? Because the opponent's strength is too strong, if they issue an attack order casually, the price will be the death of the entire Marine. Yes, listening to Garp's words, Zephyr nodded in agreement, and this is the most troublesome thing, if it is not handled well, then the sea will be really troublesome. Their alliance, for the first time, and the second time is the same. What? Garp. 35. Sengoku's expression is solemn, he is very clear, the next thing is the most troublesome problem. He is even more clear in his heart, the next problem, how to deal with it, will also be for the whole sea, is extremely important. Garp shook his head and said, there is no way to deal with it. At least, it is impossible for me to deal with it now, it is really very troublesome. The changes brought about by their alliance are very obvious. Anyone who wants to participate in among them, there are almost impossible things, want to change. It is almost impossible to do. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. 5th update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 234. Adam, come on. Let me see. Blue. As the phone worm rang, the man calmly picked up the phone worm. He sat on the throne, his eyes filled with only endless calm, and said lightly, young girl, what's wrong? Is something looking for me? 9. He. A faint chuckle sounded, and she said gracefully, Senior, next, the other party's purpose seems to be you. You better be careful. Yes. There was a sharp cold light in his eyes, and he said lightly, come on, let me see how strong they are. Over the years, there are more and more people who dare to challenge me. Let me take a look, on this chaotic sea, let everyone know that even after so many years, my terror is still not comparable to them. If that's the case, then Senior Asia, I wish you a prosperous martial arts. He. If you really wish me a long and prosperous martial arts, why don't you come and help me? I'm sorry. The country of flowers, which is my concubine, also has a lot of things to deal with. It's really a pity. Blue. As the phone bug hung up again, the two seemed to be thinking about something. The land of flowers. This is the largest superpower in West Blue, and it is also an extremely powerful superpower in the whole world. It was established by 2 brothers hundreds of years ago. The brothers started out as pirates, and they established this powerful flower country. Has one of the top countries in the world, and they don't seem to care about everything in the past. Because of this, and all this is in front of us, as if telling everyone, what will happen next. And because of this, the country of flowers attaches great importance to the power of the sea. The establishment of the 8 maritime forces from the 1 treasure navy to the 8 treasures navy helped them become the overlords on the sea. It can be said, although the status of the country of flowers seems to be invisible, but those who dare to underestimate the country of flowers will pay the price of their lives. This is an extremely terrifying country. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Who? Holding a cigarette stick, an elegant woman exhaled a wisp of blue smoke. She didn't look very young. She was probably 18 or 19 years old, but she was extremely perfect, wearing a luxurious cheongsam. The long black hair slowly fell. 953's mouth had a faint smile, a little red lips filled with a perfect posture, and her expression had a perfect posture. A wisp of blue smoke spit out. She is full of the elegance, maturity and perfection of a woman. This gesture, just looking at it makes people feel, what an elegant and perfect woman this is, and her smile is full of a strong gesture, a smile filled with gentleness. It's really interesting. The target of these people turned out to be the kingdom of Adam. Uncle Green Pepper, what do you think the next result will be? That's right, the one standing beside this woman is Qingzhao, the pillar of the Eight Treasures Navy. The son of the current leader of the Eight Treasures Navy, and normally, Qingzhao is not qualified to inherit the next leader. Because when I was a child, the green pepper grew up and strayed. I was superstitious about the power brought by my head, so I didn't practice hard. Under such circumstances, the situation is naturally different. However, now it is different. Green peppers change from the heart, because of that. Everything has become very different. Under such circumstances, it can be said that the current green pepper has undergone earth-shaking changes. The situation of the entire green pepper has also changed, so the strength has also been greatly improved. For the entire country of flowers, since the green pepper is so the difference is different, so the changes brought about are naturally different, because of this. Now, green pepper has become the general pillar of the next Eight Treasures Navy of the flower country. As for the identity of the woman, she is the new queen of the flower country named Wawa, so to speak. A woman with extremely strong talent and ability, she has handled the entire flower country very decently at a young age. No kidding. Flowers control over the country of flowers and the pattern of West Blue and even the entire world has reached an extremely perfect level, which is precisely because of this. Under the ability of flowers, the entire country of flowers, although in appearance it didn't come out, but it got an extremely terrifying promotion in the dark. In terms of seniority, the flower is the niece of the green pepper, there is no doubt about it. For so many years, when the country of flowers was established, the elder brother was the chief pillar of the Eight Treasures Navy, and the younger brother was the head of the flower. The emperor of the country, the combination of the two, and for so many years, there has never been any competition for rights. This is the fundamental reason why the strength of the entire country of flowers has been improved again and again, and it has received such a huge improvement. It can be said, if it wasn't for this AGFJ reason, the country of flowers would have collapsed completely, after all. When faced with huge power, many people would go completely crazy, this is not a strange thing. No one has faced such a huge right, and finally there is no response, this is simply impossible. It can be said that it is precisely because of this that so many things happen. What? Woo! A wisp of green smoke was spit out again, and the flower said softly, Uncle Green Pepper, what do you think, according to the strength of these people, what will be the outcome of the battle against Atom Kingdom next? How? Qingzhao thought for a while, and finally said with a serious expression, Your Majesty, the final result is actually settled, that is the defeat of Atom Kingdom, the strength of Atom Kingdom is terrifying enough, and their king is even more terrifying. Monster. After so many years, a monster alive again. But this is nothing at all, at least for us, for anyone, it is nothing meaningless. Green Pepper said calmly, Your Majesty. For this world, their pirates are the most terrifying, especially one of them. Edward Allen. Demon. Yes. 99. The flower whispered the name softly, while the green pepper nodded earnestly and said, Your Majesty. It's this person, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't underestimate the whole person, otherwise, the price to be paid will be absolutely terrifying. Above this sea, and even above this world, no one can underestimate this man, he is more terrifying than the previous rocks, no one knows where his limit is, he seems to be endless, has always been getting stronger. Speaking of Alan, Qingzhao couldn't help but sigh. As a big pirate who also resounded in the New World, Qingzhao naturally knows more than others, after all. Most of the time, he shoots as an opponent. And because of this is the most terrifying thing. Green Pepper has his own self-confidence and arrogance, but he is very clear that facing this terrible man is nothing worth mentioning. From beginning to end, both sides it is not a level, there is no comparability at all, it can be said. There is no comparability between the two sides. Qingzhao thought for a while, and continued. I can't guarantee the level of his current strength, maybe he has reached the same level as his father, maybe he is slightly worse than his father, but no matter what this man is extremely terrifying, and the most terrifying thing is that, as I said, he seems to be the owner of endless potential. No matter what time he is getting stronger and changing again and again. Strong. Get stronger again and again. This is the most frightening and most terrifying thing. Green Pepper's voice is full of emotion, but this is not a joke, but a real fact. The opponent's strength is really too terrifying, and the real thing is that it has reached a level that makes people feel endlessly terrified. Undeniable. Or, never doubt, it is too strong, Alan's strength is still improving, or growing, no one knows. What is the limit of this man, and what level of terror can be achieved in the future? Woo. The flower spit out a wisp of blue smoke and said softly, if Alan really has reached the level of the second grandfather, then. For this sea, the changes it will bring will be extremely terrifying, even saying that next, the whole sea will undergo earth-shaking changes. Yes. With a look of emotion, Green Pepper also nodded seriously. He is also very clear about these things, and he understands very well. Next, what will the result be? It can be said, no, not joking, for this sea, anyone. If there is any carelessness, it will be fatal. Especially for these terrifying monsters, you absolutely cannot have any, or even the slightest, carelessness. Even if it is just such a little carelessness, then the final result you need to pay may be the most terrible thing. This is the most terrifying and most terrifying thing. He he he. There was a smile on the corner of his mouth, while the flower said with a chuckle. Then. The next thing is the most interesting thing. Isn't it, uncle? In your opinion, do you think that the following result will be the result? Go on, this war will be the victory of these pirates, in that case. Do you think if it is cooperative? Will the other party agree? Cooperation. 35. Green Pepper was stunned for a moment, and then began to think about it. Indeed. This is possible, if we can cooperate with the Whitebeard Pirates. Then, of course, there is no doubt about the benefits that can be obtained. As for other things, people feel sorry. The country of flowers is also disdainful. As one of the superpowers in this world, the strength of the country of flowers is very terrifying. Not only are there old monsters from the generation of Captain Rocks, but also in the new generation there are Green Peppers as the leader. The 8 Treasures Navy, the 8 Pillars are all monsters with terrifying strength, but in addition, the country still has such an excellent king as Flowers, and there are other teenagers. It can be said, the kingdom of Flowers is really perfect, not a stalemate. It is very perfect before and after. In addition, the kingdom of Flowers has also mastered some special things for so many years. Naturally, it is clear how to deal with it. After thinking about this situation for a while, Green Pepper nodded and said, yes. If possible, this kind of transaction is very suitable, after all. It is better than the hands of the Whitebeard Pirates, but the master has a lot of good things. Wawa also smiled and nodded, thinking about something in her heart, and she was also thinking about it very seriously, and she was very clear that such a man, in this case, there is no need to be an enemy, but the best as friends, this is the most appropriate thing. The consideration of Flowers is very comprehensive, after all. As an emperor, Flowers learn and grow from small to large. For these, they are still very comprehensive and very clear. What will happen next? Snapped. When he reached the top of the king's tower, Adam stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes filled with endless indifference, as if he was looking at everything in the distance. He was filled with endless indifference and disdain. Really, it makes people feel boring. It's just a group of little devils, they dare to take action against my country. It's really arrogant. His eyes are full of endless pride, and even more endless indifference. For Adam, he really doesn't take all this in his eyes at all. He is full of endless confidence and pride. It can be said, he is very clearly what all this represents, and what the next results will be. This is the most important and the most fundamental core. Because of this, he has absolute confidence, after all. In his eyes, these are just a group of little devils, and a group of mere little devils dare to trouble themselves. It's simply an act of courting death. Since you brats dare to come to court for death, then you will be dealt with. Let you know that this sea is not something you brats can casually set foot on. To set foot is to pay the price of life. And this is the most terrifying thing. There is no doubt about it. Other than that, there are still many things that need to be dealt with, and they need to be considered very seriously, no joke. Because this what is the price you have to pay. In fact, it is self-evident, at least. For Adam, he would like to see, since these little devils dare to make such a choice, then because of the price they paid for their choice, are they ready? Well, if the price is not ready, that would be very boring. His Majesty. Eve walked out behind Adam, bowed slightly, and said softly, Your Majesty. Next, in the face of these little devils, do you want to start all preparations? Certainly, Adam said indifferently. Activate everything, and I also want to let the world know that my return. And let the 5 old guys from the 5 elders and that stinky woman know that above this sea, they are nothing, and with my return, this supremacy is mine. Yes. And following Adam's voice, Eve nodded slightly. She was also full of absolute confidence, just like Adam's self-confidence, and Eve was also full of self-confidence, because only those who understand will be more clear, what a huge gap there is between them. What is the essential difference? And in such a situation, what will the next result be? That's the most important thing, isn't it? It can be said, for the entire sea, everything that follows has become completely different, and all this is the most terrifying, and also the most important, even to say. The most frightening thing. Adam stood with his hands behind his back and said indifferently, Come on. Little devils, let me see your strength. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. 6th update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect. Chapter 235. The strong are always boring. Wow. The huge pirate fleet went straight to the kingdom of Adam, and at this moment, when many countries and forces in the world discovered that the so-called coalition army was not aimed at themselves, they had no more pictures and they had to work hard, but completely turned into a lively look. This is human nature. To these guys, all of this is a huge irony, just plain boring irony. It is because of this, and this result, that the world government has been able to rule the world for 800 years so simply, because in the eyes of the world government, these people are really too weak, and they are not worth mentioning at all. Do these garbage still need to be taken into account? A group of guys who can only unite at a critical moment. They may have enough strength, but they are definitely not strong enough, because when they are not dangerous enough, they will only appear very weak, and as long as this measure is well controlled, it will be an easy task to defeat these guys. At least, for the world government, it really doesn't take these things seriously. Woo. Standing on the bow, Alan spit out a puff of smoke, looked at the sea in front of him, and said casually, Atom Kingdom, an interesting opponent, the battle of the year can be said to have ended like this, now. I want to see it. What is the result of this battle? He. A hideous smile appeared, Alan's eyes flashed with terrifying light, and for this terrifying evil ghost, he knew very well that this sea was a sea where the strong were respected, and if he wanted to achieve what he wanted. Everything, then, just show enough strength and let everyone in this sea know what the next result will be. A terrifying killing intent burst out, and with this terrifying killing intent, Alan's breath was extremely terrifying, and everyone felt it. Goo la la la. Newgate laughed proudly. Brother. You look very excited. Ah. Excited. 35. Of course. Alan grinned and said excitedly, I am looking forward to such an opponent very much. For I have gradually surpassed the level of Admiral, and I am more and more looking forward to a more suitable opponent for Aki. And Adam, this immortal old guy, is obviously a very suitable, even to say, exciting opponent. 99. Search. Licking the corner of his mouth slightly, Alan was really excited. He made a fist with one hand, and his arm was shaking slightly. Is this fear? No, sorry, this is not fear at all, but real excitement. For Alan, this is too exciting. It's not a joke. It's a real fact, especially for Alan, a madman. Alan is really full of madness. Actually, in the past few years, why has Alan rarely shot? It's actually very simple. Alan is a lunatic who pursues the path of being the strongest in the world, but what about strengths other than the strongest in the world? Actually, it's just not interesting. Because of that, Alan is too strong, with the fall of Rock's pirate to this day. Nearly 11 years have passed, and in these 11 years, Alan's strength has been greatly improved, and under such a huge improvement, it is rude to say. Alan is too strong. Is the current Alan worse than the former Captain Rock's? Poor. But this gap, it's not too big, and now that I face Captain Rock's, I can almost certainly win. The reason is very simple. The former Captain Rock's can beat himself because the gap in strength is too great. Facing Captain Rock's, he is no opponent at all. In such a situation, then of course it is inevitable to lose. But now it is different. My current strength is just a thin line behind that of Captain Rock's, and under such circumstances, with the improvement brought by horse charms and dog charms, I can defeat Captain Rock's in a persistent battle. It's too easy. Many people think that the battle between the strong is 1 day and 1 night or 10 days and 10 nights. Isn't that nonsense? After all, the sit-ups between Luffy and Kaido are only a few hours. This is not at all science thing. Actually, this is a very normal thing. In the battle between the real powerhouses, they will be desperate if they will not come up. Many people are testing each other, and because the resilience is the most powerful, after the testing, they will continue to fighting, but Kaido and Luffy are different. These two guys are insanely desperate again and again, just like Alan once killed Admiral, because of this. This is how Alan can kill in a short period of time, the reason for Admiral. After all, you're not joking, you're working really hard. If that's the case, do you need to say more about the result? Actually, no need for any nonsense anymore. Because I'm just working hard with you, that's why. Alan, it can be said that the strength of the real thing is placed here, which is absolutely beyond doubt. It can be said, Alan's strength is extremely strong, and this kind of strength is not a joke, but a real horror, which is the fundamental reason why, for so many years, Alan rarely shoots. The reason is very simple. Alan's strength, after reaching a very terrifying level, he is no longer interested in ordinary opponents, and since he is not interested, then naturally he will not shoot. This is the fundamental reason. In other words, this is something that is beyond doubt. As long as you are not an idiot, you can see what is going on, and other than that. The second point is of course no need to say much. Now, Alan has two ambitions. In addition to being the strongest in the world, he also has the ambition to make the Whitebeard Pirates the strongest in the world and the top of the world. This is also the reason why, for so many years, Alan has taught these little devils a lot of the time. This is that after his strength has been improved, he has been fundamentally changed. This is the fundamental core, so to speak. Alan, the essence has become different. Breathing out another puff of smoke, Alan said with a smile, so. Second child, for Laozi, Adam is an immortal, but there are very few opponents who are very suitable for Laozi. Otherwise, above this sea, it is suitable for Laozi. Can be said to be very rare. 35. 99. Listening to the words of my eldest brother, Newgate nodded in agreement. This is really not a joke, this is a real fact. This is really not a joke. The strength of my eldest brother is really it's too strong, it's already powerful to a terrifying level. It is undeniable to say. The strength of Newgate and Kaido has been greatly improved in the past 10 years, but you let these two people face their big brother. Sorry. The idea of the two people is that they are really not opponents. It's not a joke, but it's really not an opponent. This is not a joke, although the strength of the two is huge, but compared with their big brother, the gap is really too big. Because of this is the fundamental reason. And because of this, Newgate and Kaido know why their eldest brother rarely shoots now, because as long as they and the third shooter enough, are just Whitebeard, it's enough for the pirate team to take action. My eldest brother has already reached such an amazing strength, do we still need to consider so much? Actually, it's a normal thing, my eldest brother really doesn't need to continue to take action at all. This is the pure strength gap, which has reached a shocking level. Because of this gap is the most important. It makes me feel hopeless. But, Kaido rubbed his chin and said, Big brother. Are you sure that the old guy Adam is really that strong? I remember, wasn't the strength of this old guy 10 years ago similar to that of Simon? Big brother, there should be a big gap between you and Captain Rocks now, right? 55. Indeed, this is a question that Kaido is also thinking about, no kidding. Don't think that it's very easy to upgrade from Simon's strength to Captain Rock's strength. There is no comparability, it's really not a joke, but the real thing is not a level at all, even to say. There is no comparability, and because of this, the whole sea will be like this dignified, really did not dare to relax his vigilance. This is the very fundamental reason, and Alan waved his hand and said, Don't worry. For that old immortal, his strength is extremely terrifying. It is even said that the improvement he can get will make all the position of the person as shocking. This is absolutely beyond doubt, after all. For such an immortal, the increase in strength that he can get is definitely shocking to all of us, isn't it? Seriously, Alan has great confidence in Adam, the immortal. Just kidding, the strength of such immortality is simply terrifying, outrageous, don't think it's a joke, it's a real fact. That's how immortal, do you think he is very weak? Stop making trouble, this is absolutely impossible, the strength of this old immortal is really terrifying. Even when he just woke up, his strength may not be so strong, but the foundation is perfect. For that old immortal, it is very easy to improve. After all, a man who has lived for hundreds of years immortal, this is a matter of course. 0. Seeking flowers. Who? Breathing out a puff of smoke, Alan's mouth grinned wildly and said excitedly, because of this. This is why I feel excited. Isn't this kind of opponent exciting? Search. Licking the corners of his mouth again, Alan's words made the two younger brothers nod in agreement. Indeed, such an old monster, even if the owner has such terrifying strength, seems to be a very normal thing. On the other hand, there is absolutely no doubt about this. Alan is full of endless indifference to this, quietly watching everything in front of him, but he has restrained all his breath, and he does not need to be anxious. Rather, he wants to see, what is the next result. Hee. A ferocious and crazy smile emerged. Alan's killing intent can be said to be very terrifying, but everything is fleeting. Alan needs to wait quietly, let himself take a look. Next, what will the result be? Wow. The waves are getting more and more churning, and they are gradually moving towards the distance, and the speed can be said to be very ferocious. In a short period of time, they have gradually galloped towards the distance. It seems that it has also been proved that everything that is about to explode next. Gia ha. Shiki laughed horribly. Adam Kingdom. I'm here again, this time I want to see what will happen to your kingdom. Superpower. Is it strong? I want to see, this time you are how did you die? Terrifying killing intent emerges in his eyes, but Shiki's real eyes are full of terrifying killing intent. In the past 11 years, Shiki has failed twice, and that's exactly what happened twice. For the arrogant Shiki, he failed twice in one go. Hee. This is absolutely unacceptable, because of this. Shiki wants to see, isn't your strength very strong? Yes, let me see if your strength is truly invincible. Degree, and whether Laozi can slaughter you. Obviously, after Shiki knew that he was not an opponent, he directly chose the alliance. No, the alliance of so many terrifying monsters has only one target of Adam Kingdom. However, to be honest, if there is no Alan, then the result of these alliance forces, how is it? Fail. Without a doubt, it was a failure. That's right. Remember, you are not an opponent at all, there is absolutely no doubt about it. Because Adam is too strong, and such a monster, if there is no equivalent existence, what will the result be? There is no doubt about defeat. Or, it is impossible to be an opponent at all. There is no doubt about this at all, just think about it a little and you will understand. At this point, in fact, as long as a person who understands a little bit knows what is going on, there is no need to hesitate at all. Because Alan is terrifying enough, Alan can face Adam by himself, otherwise. It really is a monster that has reached the level of Adam, and it is no longer possible to deal with it simply by the number of people. Or, your number is really large enough, otherwise. Look at the Valley of the Gods War, Captain Rocks is a how terrifying are people. Actually, it's been proven, if it wasn't for Captain Rock's life. The thing is to reach the limit, actually. The end result is already a thing that needs no words. When you really reach monsters like Alan, Adam, Captain Rocks, and the 3 Army Commander Sen, 3 or 2 Admiral levels are completely meaningless. You don't have 5 or 6 or even more. It's meaningless thing. Because of this, when it really reaches this level, what level will the result be? In fact, it is self-evident. It is even said that this is the most terrifying thing, isn't it? Hee. So, Shiki said that he was very well prepared this time, but again, if there is no Alan's existence, then everything is pointless, wanting to win. It's impossible. Because of Alan's existence, the result is different, and victory is a matter of course. Next, the war is about to begin. Let me see it. Shiki's eyes are full of terrifying killing intent. How much will this war sweep through? It's nothing to care about. As long as you win, it's enough. P.S. 5,000 word chapter. Daily 6 updates. First update. Please subscribe. Please customize. Please collect.